the most powerful phone in history. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76, Meeting Lin Xuan again. The sun sank and the sky darkened. In the jungle at night, predators began to appear. Xu Feng woke up from his sleep, and after eating a meal, he went out to continue hunting. After adapting during this period of time, he has mastered some patterns of zombies infesting, and the harvest every night is very good. Those low-level zombies, in order to survive, have also become particularly cautious. Once something goes wrong, they will disappear quickly. Xu Feng was lurking in a certain room on the first floor of an apartment building, watching the outside through the window. Time passed by little, but he still waited patiently. The best predators, often the most tolerant, lurk in the grass for that final, fatal blow. In the middle of the night, as expected, some vague shadows began to appear, and they carefully caught some small animals for food. When they were eating, Xu Feng suddenly broke open the window and appeared in front of them. The frightened first-order zombies turned around and started to run away. Unfortunately, the difference in strength was too great. Although they struggled with all their strength, they were still killed by Xu Feng one by one. It's just that every moment of their death, they will emit the high-frequency screams unique to zombies. This kind of scream is uncomfortable to hear, and their voices seem to contain their unwillingness. Don't blame me, I don't want to do this either. Xu Feng cut the brains of those zombies, but he suddenly hated this kind of hunting in his heart. After all, he hated such a naked world where the weak preyed on the strong. After living in such a world for a long time, normal people would gradually lose their humanity. My system currency is almost gone. I really don't want to stay in this world any longer, but I haven't seen the little girl yet. After collecting the crystals, Xu Feng stood up and was about to leave when he suddenly felt two powerful forces approaching him rapidly. These two auras were much stronger than the zombies he had seen before. Turning around, he saw two blurred shadows in the distance approaching him in a blink of an eye. In the dark night, their blue eyes are particularly conspicuous. Two third-tier zombies came all of a sudden, and now some of them are playing. However, if the zombies reach the third level, they already have the IQ of a normal human being. Xu Feng's mind brightened. So could he ask about the whereabouts of these two zombies, Lin Xuan? But before he could open his mouth, the two zombies raised their heads to the sky and screamed, and rushed towards him. Hey, don't rush to do it, brother zombies, I still have something to ask you. Xu Feng yelled while dodging. It's a pity that the two zombies didn't listen to his nonsense, they just shot silently. Their speed and strength were terrifying, and they still had a little cooperation with each other. Xu Feng had no choice but to start fighting seriously. He wielded the Longquan sword, but he didn't know any sword skills, and he had no moves to speak of. He just relied on his speed to perform the most primitive chopping, cutting, and stabbing. But those two third-tier zombies were also very fast. They dodged nimbly, and Xu Feng's sword couldn't reach them at all. I can't help it, my swordsmanship is too bad, so use the palm. Putting away the Longquan sword, gathered all the power of the whole body in both palms. Both palms were surrounded by flames, suddenly brought a ray of light in this dark world. It was Yanlong Palm. Exerting the flame dragon palm technique, Xu Feng really began to gain the upper hand slowly, and the two zombies were only fighting with the most primitive instinct. Xu Feng's strength and speed were no weaker than them, and now he used a powerful palm technique to drive the two of them into danger. With a staggered movement, Xu Feng gave each of the two zombies a palm, and their chests were directly burnt and bleeding. Hey, let's stop fighting, I have something to ask you. Xu Feng stopped his hands and said. But the two zombies glanced at each other, turned around and ran suddenly. Their speed was as fast as when they came, and they disappeared in a blink of an eye. Do you want to do this? Helpless, Xu Feng had no choice but to put away his palms and continue hunting. He was going to spend the last night, and then he would look for Lin Xuan with peace of mind. After seeing her, he could leave this world. The two third-tier zombies arrived at the top floor of the building not long after they retreated. After they knelt down, they chirped and reported the results of the trip. When the girl saw their wounds, she knew they had retreated. It's interesting to be able to injure Xiner and Dallin and you two joined forces. The girl said and raised her steps slightly. Then I'll go and meet him in person. Xu Feng changed to another place to hunt, and met a red-eyed zombie. After a fight, he successfully killed it. The harvest was good tonight, so we can call it a day. But just as he was about to leave, he once again felt several powerful auras coming from behind him. 3 of them are at the same level as the third-order zombies just now, but there is another breath that is much stronger than those 3, and even makes Xu Feng feel afraid. Didn't I just want to wash my hands for the last night? Why did so many big bosses suddenly appear? Xu Feng turned around while talking, and saw 4 figures coming from the darkness in the distance. I still can't see their figures clearly, but their eyes can already see clearly. In the darkness, there were 3 pairs of blue eyes, and the middle one was a noble purple eye. No way, this is really a bit dangerous. What the hell are purple eyes? Xu Feng knew that he might not be able to fight this time, and was about to run away, but the 4 zombies had already entered his sight range. And why does the owner of the pair of purple eyes in the middle look familiar? Really familiar, isn't this the little girl I've been looking for? The 4 zombies stopped 10 meters in front of Xu Feng, and the girl in the middle wearing a white veil suddenly had a layer of white mist in her purple eyes. The zombie's vision is better at night, and she found that the man's back was very familiar from a distance, and it was a back that was deeply imprinted in her mind. When Xu Feng turned around and looked at the face she had missed for 2 years, her heart began to rippling. She couldn't believe everything in front of her. Is this really the person she missed? Did he really come back to see himself? Little girl, is that you? Seeing that she hadn't moved, Xu Feng asked a little uncertainly. When Lin Shuyan heard this call, she knew that she was right again. He was the only one in the world who could call her little girl. She rushed forward desperately and threw herself into Xu Feng's arms. You really came back. Xu Feng smiled slightly, stroked her hair, and said softly, yes. But the 3 zombies in the back looked blank. Did they follow the Emperor to hunt and kill the human beings in front of them? Doesn't the Emperor hate humans the most? They were completely bewildered by what they saw. Only Erlin among them had a gleam in its eyes, as if it understood the identity of the human being in front of it. It looked at Xu Feng and thought, are you the one who taught her human language? Is it the he she has been obsessed with? Chapter 77 Zombie Queen. On the top of the building, Xu Feng and Lin Shuyan sat side by side. Xu Feng looked at the road several hundred meters below. The abandoned car was smaller than an ant, and he was a little panicked. If he accidentally fell, even if he was the late day after tomorrow, he would be smashed into slag. But the little girl Lin Shuyan insisted on sitting here. She hugged Xu Feng's arm meekly, and leaned her head gently on his shoulder. Do you know? Since you left, I will sit here and watch the sunset every day, looking forward to your return. I know you will definitely come back. Sitting here every day waiting for myself, Xu Feng's heart was touched for a while, imagining the girl's lonely figure in the sunset every day. He really did something wrong. Lin Shuyan said softly, I can overlook the whole city from here. Isn't the scenery particularly beautiful? Hearing this, Xu Feng no longer stared at his feet, but looked at the whole city from a distance. Sure enough, as the little girl said, the field of vision is particularly wide, and the whole city can be seen. But at this time, the sky was pale, as if something was brewing. After a while, I saw a red sun rising from the horizon. Lin Shuyan saw it and shouted excitedly, the sun. It's the sunrise. Yes. Xu Feng smiled slightly, feeling very emotional in his heart. When I left last time, it was the time when the sun was setting, and today I was with a little girl again, and what I saw here was the rising sun. The setting sun and the rising sun are very similar, but they herald 2 completely different beginnings. One is to leave the day and welcome darkness, the other is to send away the night and bring light. The orange sun rose slowly, and Lin Shuyan leaned quietly on Xu Feng's shoulder, enjoying this moment. After a long time, Xu Feng asked her what had happened in the past 2 years. In Lin Shuyan's slow narration, Xu Feng realized that the little girl had been in S City for the past 2 years, and she was actually doing well. It turned out that when Xu Feng left, Lin Shuyan was already a late-stage third-order zombie, and there were only a few third-order zombies in the entire S City at that time. The other third-tier zombies were already familiar with each other, only Lin Shuyan had been hanging around with Xu Feng. When Xu Feng was around, Lin Shuyan and him could not be underestimated. But after Xu Feng left, Lin Shuyan was alone, and those third-tier zombies started to think about Lin Shuyan. They want to eat Lin Shuyan so that they can upgrade again. In the end, a few third-tier zombies fought against Lin Shuyan, and they thought they were sure of winning. But because of Xu Feng's departure, The little girl Lin Shuain had a lot of negative emotions. In addition, she was a late-stage third order, so her strength was already stronger than those old third-order zombies. After a great battle, Lin Shuain killed those third-rank zombies by himself. After devouring their energy crystals, she successfully advanced again, becoming a fourth-order zombie, and her eyes turned purple. Since then, she has become the undisputed strongest in S City, whether it is a zombie or a human. At that time, there was a base of human survivors around S City, and some of them would often enter S City to hunt zombies. Lin Shuain shot directly, killing some of the most powerful humans, and issued a warning that S City will be her territory from now on, and humans are not allowed to enter. After driving away the humans, Lin Shuain did not forbid the low-level zombies in the city to fight each other, because she remembered the secret Xu Feng told her when he left, and knew that all this was inevitable, and the zombies had to evolve slowly through fighting. After a period of time, some third-tier zombies slowly re-evolved in the city. And after becoming the third level, there will be a human intelligence level. Lin Shuain felt that after possessing human intelligence, zombies should no longer fight so brutally. So she made a rule that the third-tier zombies were forbidden to kill each other, and they were also not allowed to hunt lower-tier zombies. At the beginning, those newly advanced zombies didn't obey her rules, but after she showed her strength a few times, those third-level zombies knew her strength and had to succumb. In this way, Lin Shuain became the queen of zombies in S City. Among the third-order zombies, the three that Xu Feng had seen more the most loyal to her. She named them Dalin, Erlin, and Sanlunner respectively. After listening to the little girl's narration, Xu Feng turned his head to look at her, only to see her purple eyes, very noble and royal, and she has really matured a lot. Stretching out his hand to stroke her hair, he jokingly said, "Your Majesty, the little one is being polite. I'm not the queen, I'm just your little girl." Lin Shuain rubbed her head against his arm as she spoke. Haha. Xu Feng smiled, but felt sore in his heart. Although he was happy to meet him, he was about to leave soon. Unless we can really find a way to bring people from another world back to the real world. He thought of his own portable space, but he shouldn't be able to bring living things. However, he still asked the system, "Sister System, can you bring living people into the portable space?" No, the portable space is only the most elementary space, and the various laws in it are not perfect. If a living thing enters it, it will die directly. Xu Feng was very disappointed, and muttered, "Then how can I do it?" It's very simple. In the future, the host will be able to carry a living person after he obtains a complete cave-like magic weapon. Cave-like magic weapon. Xu Feng knows that treasures of this level are generally only available to high-level monks, even in the world of cultivating immortals, which is still far away from him. With his current ability, entering the world of cultivating immortals is completely considered cannon fodder not on. But I will work hard. Xu Feng secretly said. However, Lin Shuain seemed to sense his emotional changes. After all, the girl's mind was delicate. She raised her head and said, "Brother Xu, can you not stay for long this time?" Xu Feng wanted to answer no, but he knew it was just deceiving himself. The girl smiled, "Brother Xu, it's okay, Ye Xiner is already satisfied just seeing you once." Xu Feng said softly, "Little girl, one day I will definitely be able to take you out of this world. Well, I believe in you, and I will always be waiting for you." Before meeting the little girl, Xu Feng had already obtained enough system currency, and his original plan was to leave this world after seeing her again. But when I really met her, I found that it was not so easy to let go. So in the following time, Xu Feng played with Lin Shuain for a month. But there will be a time to say goodbye after all, and this time the little girl said goodbye to Xu Feng with a smile. Still at the top of the building, the little girl looked at him and said, "Brother Xu, I'll wait for you to come back and pick me up." "Most definitely." Xu Feng looked at her and thought, "Girl, you have finally grown up, it's so good." He waved to Lin Shuain, pressed exit in his mind, and his figure disappeared into the world. And Lin Shuain looked at the empty roof, her smile slowly disappeared, and 2 lines of tears flowed from her purple eyes. "Brother Xu, pretending to smile is just to let you leave with peace of mind, but Ye Xiner is really reluctant. It's just that the voice dissipated in the wind on the roof, and that person could no longer hear it." Chapter 78 The Cat Experiment. After a burst of space fluctuations, Xu Feng's figure appeared in the room. His mood was also very restless. The little girl's purple eyes seemed to be still in front of him, and he secretly said in his heart, "Girl, I won't let you wait too long. Xu Feng knew that he had to improve his strength as soon as possible. For the first time, he bore the promise of being a man. Take out your phone, open the character attributes to check the results of this trip. Name, Xu Feng. Gender, male. Age, 21. Level, late acquired. Experience, 879 10,000. System coin, 8,490. Skills, Zixa Divine Art, 100%. Yanlong Palm, 100%. Unlock app, WeChat, Kidian Reading, Xiaomi Video. The system currency has reached 8,490, but the experience value has not increased at all, because Xu Feng did not take any energy crystals obtained from killing zombies during this trip. Since energy crystals can improve the zombie and his physical fitness, Xu Feng wondered if it would be effective if given to people in the real world, so he collected them all in his portable space. After eating and resting for a while, Xu Feng planned to verify the effect of the energy crystal. But it was very difficult to find a test subject. Xu Feng walked out of the house in distress and paced around the community. In broad daylight, only some old people are walking their cats and dogs in the garden of the community, and most of the young people have gone to work. Seeing those cats and dogs chasing happily, Xu Feng's eyes lit up. Yes, I can do experiments with animals first. So Xu Feng searched in the garden. Cats and dogs with owners must not work. What he was looking for were those stray cats and stray dogs. There are usually a few abandoned cats and dogs in the community. Sure enough, after searching for a while, Xu Feng found a kitten in a remote corner. The fur on the kitten's body was messy, and there were scabbed wounds in some places, which was obviously abandoned. Xu Feng squatted down, trying to reach out to pet the kitten, but it seemed very defensive, got up and ran away. Kitty, don't run away. Xu Feng had never had pets like cats and dogs before, and he didn't know how to communicate with them, so he had to follow them. It's a pity that the little cat has a small body, and it disappeared after a while running around in the woods. Well, I don't want any favors for you. Reluctantly, Xu Feng had no choice but to continue searching for other targets, but unfortunately, after searching for a long time, there was no result. He thought to himself, no matter what, these little things had to be eaten anyway, and it would be better to come out to look for them after the mealtime, so he went back to the room for the time being. In the evening, he went downstairs again and searched in the small garden. After a while, I walked to the corner where the kitten was found in the afternoon, but saw a girl squatting there feeding, and the kitten in the afternoon was in front of her. Xu Feng walked over slowly. The girl stretched out her hand to stroke the kitten, and said, "Xiao, you have been bullied again recently, and you have so many new wounds on your body, you can run away if you can't beat it, you know." She seemed to sense someone coming from behind her, and when she turned her head, she saw a young man she had never seen before. "You are? Ah. I also live in this community. My name is Xu Feng." Xu Feng scratched his head and said, "Do you also live in this community?" A trace of doubt flashed in the girl's eyes. "I seldom see you. My name is Gao Xiaoyi." "Well, I'm not at home often, girl. Do you often come to feed these stray cats?" The girl stood up, staring at the kittens who were eating, and said, "Yes, but I don't have time to go to work, so I can only feed them at night, and they will starve during the day." "That's it." Xu Feng's eyes moved. "I have time during the day, otherwise I'll feed it for you during the day." The girl looked happy, and said, "Really? That's great. Xiao won't have to starve during the day." "Well, but I saw it during the day today, and it doesn't seem to be close to strangers. Miss AI, can you teach me how to deal with it?" "Okay, Xiao is a little sensitive, but it will be fine once you get familiar with it." So in the following time, with the help of Gao Xiaoyi, the little cat named Xiao finally reluctantly accepted Xu Feng. Xu Feng, who had succeeded in his scheme, started to prepare food for that little flower after breakfast the next morning. He specially bought some cat's favorite food, took out a green energy crystal belonging to a first-order zombie from his portable space, crushed it and mixed it into cat food. Taking the special food, I went down and found Xiao in the old place. Putting the delicious food in front of it, Xu Feng smiled and said, "Xiao, eat quickly." Xiao obviously didn't trust him a bit. She sniffed and sniffed the food he provided, but finally couldn't resist the delicious temptation, and started to eat with small mouthfuls. Xu Feng watched it finish a plate of special food, and then nervously waited for its change. It's a pity that after waiting for a long time, the kitten licked its mouth, but the expected change did not happen. It meowed and disappeared into the grass. No way, isn't it effective? Xu Feng scratched his head in doubt. Forget it, let's observe it for a few more days. In the next few days, Xu Feng wandered around in the small garden after eating and looking for Xiaohu. Slowly, he really discovered some differences in Xiaohu. First of all, the scars on Xiaohu's body miraculously disappeared slowly. Secondly, once Xu Feng saw Xiaohu fighting with other stray cats. Although it was small in size, its strength and speed completely gained the upper hand, and it beat the opponent's big wildcat. The cat fled in despair. In this way, Xu Feng confirmed that the zombie energy crystal can also work in the real world. The reason why he went through so much trouble was because he wanted to give the energy crystals to his parents and younger sister. In that case, their physical fitness should be improved in an all-round way. However, after verifying it on the cat, Xu Feng still didn't dare to take it back and let his parents take it rashly. After all, he didn't know if there would be any side effects. Only after the same verification on human beings can he be completely at ease. But experimenting on humans is not so easy. Xu Feng can only wait for the right opportunity. In the next time, he began to prepare to choose the next world to travel through, and he needed to improve his strength. Xu Feng had just finished eating that day when he suddenly heard someone knocking on the door. The only person who knew about his residence was Tang Shining, and he thought to himself, could it be that she came? He got up and went to open the door. When the door opened, there was a tall man nearly 2 meters tall, wearing a black suit and a pair of sunglasses. But Xu Feng still recognized the person in front of him at a glance. It's you. Didn't I tell you not to appear in front of me again? Xu Feng smiled coldly. You think I'm joking? Thanks to Li Nala, Obedient Baby, Pianwu, Yijin Taksun, and Falling Leaves for their rewards. Chapter 79 The Big Brother and Number 039, S Invitation. The big man hurriedly took off his sunglasses, and said fearfully, Mr. Xu, please calm down. I'm here to invite you to have a party on behalf of the boss. I saw that this big man was the Wang who kidnapped Tang Shining before. Boss? Who is your boss? Xu Feng jokingly asked. But Wang Hu's attitude became more sincere. My boss is Liu Dadan, known as Brother Dong. He is in charge of most of the entertainment industry in Jiangchen. The KTV that you and your classmates went to, Mr. Xu, is also his property. Oh, I've never heard of it, Xu Feng said with a cold smile. Why, he wants to ask me again to ask my teacher for his crimes. Wang Hu hurriedly said, don't dare, Mr. Xu's martial arts are superb. To be honest, the boss sent me this time, because he wants to ask Mr. Xu for help. Ask me for help? Did I hear you right? You kidnapped my friend a few days ago, but you came to ask me for help today? Do you think I will agree? Beads of sweat slowly appeared on Wang Hu's forehead. He was ordered by his boss to invite Xu Feng today, and he also knew that this was an almost impossible task. But he knew better that this task must be completed, otherwise his life would be lost. He suddenly fell to his knees in front of Xu Feng with a plop, and said in a low voice, Mr. Xu, I don't notation with my dog's eyes. I offended you and your girlfriend a few days ago. It is entirely my responsibility. Please punish me, sir. Sir can follow me. Xu Feng was taken aback when he saw him kneeling down, and began to think about it seriously in his heart. He had never heard of Liu Dadan's name, but from what Wang Hu said, he was the entertainment boss of the entire Jiangchen. Xu Feng knew that if he wanted to bring down the song group, money alone was not enough. He had to be able to get to know some real dignitaries. Now this Liu Dadan obviously wants something from himself, if he can take this opportunity to make friends with him. But even so, he couldn't agree to the request so easily. Since Wang Hu in front of him came to his door, then the matter of finding someone to experiment. It's not impossible for me to promise, but Wang Hu, you have to promise me one thing. When Wang Hu heard Xu Feng let go of his mouth, his face was full of joy, and he said quickly, Mr. Xu has broken me, and I am obliged to do something if you have something to do. Well, in fact, this is not necessarily a bad thing, maybe it is a chance for you. As Xu Feng said, with a thought, a green crystal appeared in his hand, but he broke it into two with his hands, put away half of it, and handed the remaining half of the crystal to Wang Hu's eyes. Eat it. Ah. Wang Hu opened his eyes wide, swallowed, and reached out tremblingly to pinch the crystal from Xu Feng's palm. The green crystals were crystal clear, and they didn't look like something edible, but Wang Hu didn't dare to say anything, thinking that even if it was poison, He could only eat it. He threw the crystal into his mouth, closed his eyes, and swallowed it down with a mouthful of saliva. Xu Feng watched him eat, and said, "Let's go. Since your boss wants me to help, I'll go see him." The current Xu Feng is already in the late stage of the day after tomorrow, and he is already rich in combat experience. He is not afraid of any trap set by the opponent, and he is confident in his own strength. That Wang Hu got up quickly. He didn't have time to think about what he ate, and he took the lead to open the way. Xu Feng closed the door and followed him downstairs, only to see a BMW parked there. That Wang Hu asked Xu Feng to get in the car, and then drove himself to the city. The car turned around and came to a high-end health club. Wang Hu got out of the car, opened the car door for Xu Feng first, and said, "Please, Mr. Xu." Following Wang Hu, they entered the clubhouse. The interior was luxuriously and nobly decorated, and it was obviously a place for rich people to consume. When he came to the door of a large private room on the second floor, Wang Hu knocked on the door and said, "Boss, I have invited Mr. Xu over." A middle-aged man's voice came from inside, "Then invite Mr. Xu to come in." Wang Hu pushed open the door, and Xu Feng walked in immediately. He saw that the room was large in size and the overall color was bright yellow. Xu Feng knew that he should be Liu Dadan. Seeing Xu Feng coming in, the man said, "Mr. Xu, please sit down wherever you want." Xu Feng was not polite either. He just pulled out a chair and sat down. That Wang Hu closed the door, walked to Liu Dadan's back and stood still. "Mr. Xu hasn't eaten yet, please have dinner first." Liu Dadan said. "No need, I've eaten, let's just say something." Xu Feng didn't want to beat around the bush. "Okay, then I'll get straight to the point. I heard from Ahu that although Mr. Xu is young, his skills are unfathomable. Ahu, he can't do a single trick under Mr.'s hands," he said, sitting up straight, "so I want to ask my husband to help me fight against someone in 2 days." Xu Feng said lightly, "Oh? Let me help you as a thug? Are those under your command not enough?" Liu Dadan smiled wryly and said, "Ahu is a retired special force. He has been helping me all these years. He has always been successful, but recently he met Mr. and was defeated by him. A few days ago, an old enemy of mine came to kick me. In the field, Ahu was there at the time, but he didn't expect that he couldn't make a move in his hands." "Oh? There is such a thing?" Xu Feng was really a little surprised. He had fought against Wang Hu, and he knew that Wang Hu was definitely considered the best among ordinary people. He could easily beat him because of his own strength internal force. Now there is actually someone who can defeat Wang Hu with one move. Could it be that besides him, there are other martial arts masters in this world? Thinking of this, Xu Feng felt excited. He asked Wang Hu, "Who do you think is better than that person or me?" Wang Hu, who was standing behind Liu Dadan, said, "Mr. Xu, this, I really can't judge." Xu Feng didn't care too much, but thinking that there might be martial arts masters in the real world, he really wanted to see them. So he said, "I can help you fight, but what benefits can you give me?" Then Liu Dadan heaved a sigh of relief when he agreed, and said, "Sir, if you help me get rid of that enemy, how about I give you 200 million? Liu Dadan thought that the price he offered was high enough, but Xu Feng just shook his head. What he lacks now is not money, and 200 million is of no use to him. "I don't want money, so how about it? How about you promise me a condition after it's done?" Liu Dadan frowned, and said hesitantly, "What conditions?" "The condition? I haven't thought about it yet." Xu Feng touched his chin. "I will ask you when I need it, but it will definitely not be a condition that embarrasses you." Liu Dadan was obviously hesitant. As a big boss, he would not easily agree to conditions, especially if there is no certainty. He prefers to use money to solve the problem. But thinking of the terrifying strength of the enemy family, he waited in his heart and already had an idea. "Okay, I promise you." Chapter 80 Inner Strength Warrior. 2 days later, early in the morning, Wang Hu drove to pick up Xu Feng. Came to the clubhouse last time, walked into the gate. There were 2 rows of black-clothed bodyguards in suits and sunglasses standing in the hall. At the end, Liu Dadan was sitting on a semicircular sofa. Besides, there was also a middle-aged man in a short Mandarin jacket. Seeing Xu Feng, Liu Dadan nodded and said, "Mr. Xu is here, please sit down." After Xu Feng sat down, Liu Dadan introduced him. "This is Mr. Zhang Qishan, the owner of the Victory Martial Arts School in the city. This time, I hope that the two gentlemen can work together to help Liu eliminate that enemy. Jiang Qixin had already heard from Liu Dadan that there was a Mr. Su who was working with him. He thought he was some kind of expert. Seeing that Mr. Su was so young, a trace of contempt flashed in his eyes. Boss Liu, with all due respect, based on your subordinate's description, I speculate that your enemy should be a martial artist with internal strength. Once this warrior develops internal strength, no matter how many ordinary people there are, they will not be their opponents. Oh, inner strength warrior. Liu Dadan asked suspiciously, may I ask Mr. Jiang, what is this inner strength warrior? I've never heard of it. Boss Liu, you haven't heard of it, it's normal. Jiang Qixin smiled slightly. Ordinary people rarely come into contact with this level, and there are very few inner strength warriors. As he said, he swept his eyes and found that the coffee table in front of him was made of solid wood. He stretched out his palm and pressed on the coffee table. When he moved his palm away, he saw a faint handprint left on the coffee table. Then Liu Dadan opened his eyes wide when he saw this kung fu. This is solid wood, he said in surprise. This, Mr. Jiang, are you also an inner strength warrior? Haha, I'm ashamed to say that after more than, years of cultivation, I barely managed to reach a small level of inner strength. But he clearly had a very complacent expression on his face, and he deliberately glanced at Xu Feng. Xu Feng has been listening quietly by the side, because he wants to get more information about real-world warriors from Jiang Qixin. Seeing him showing this hand at this moment, he nodded secretly in his heart. It seems that this Jiang Qixin really has some skills, but judging from the depth of his palm prints, Xu Feng is sure that he can defeat him within 3 moves. Liu Dadan's eyes were extremely hot at the moment. Seeing Jiang Qixin's ability with his own eyes, he thought it would be easy to deal with that enemy, if he could take him for his own use in the future. But Xu Feng suddenly said, Master Jiang, you said that you are a small achiever of inner strength, but how do you classify inner strength fighters? Hearing Xu Feng's question, Jiang Qixin thought to himself that if you don't even know the division of inner strength fighters, then you must not be inner strength fighters. The look of contempt in his eyes became stronger, and he was not going to answer, but seeing Liu Dadan who seemed to be very interested, he reluctantly opened his mouth and said, people who practice martial arts, temper their muscles and bones, strengthen their strength, and increase their strength and speed. This stage can be collectively referred to as external strength martial arts practitioners. External strength martial arts practitioners have practiced to the extreme, and it is no problem to beat 3 or 5 ordinary people, such as him. He pointed at Wang Hu who was standing behind Liu Dadan. You can be called an external force warrior. Then go one step further, through the practice of kung fu, you can cultivate inner strength, but even if you have kung fu, there is no 1 in 10 warriors who can cultivate inner strength. He paused and continued, inner strength martial artists can be divided into 3 levels of entry, small success, and great success. External energy and internal energy are completely 2 levels. If you cultivate internal energy, your movements will be much stronger. It is even rumored that those who have mastered internal energy can't even do anything to bullets. Can't even do anything with bullets. Liu Dadan's eyes widened. That's right, but I haven't really seen it before. Jiang Qixin shook his head. After all, there are too few people with great inner strength. He looked up at the ceiling while talking, and said, but the inner strength is not the strongest. It is rumored that there is a state of transformation beyond the inner strength, and that is really the realm of a fairy. After hearing what he said, Xu Feng had a general idea of warriors, and he couldn't help but wonder how the legendary transformation realm compares to himself. During the conversation, it was past noon, and everyone had dinner together. After eating, the group set off. There were 5 cars in total. Xu Feng, Jiang Qixin, Wang Hu, and Liu Dadan sat in an extended Lincoln, and the 4 cars behind were all bodyguards. The car came to the riverside. The reason why Jiangcheng was called Jiangcheng was because the longest river in China passed through the city. When they arrived at the riverside, everyone got off the car and boarded a boat, heading for a small island in the middle of the river. This is the widest part of the river, 4 or 5 kilometers of water, vast and indistinct, boats to small islands. The island is a primitive sandbar with some miscellaneous trees growing on it. This small island has not been developed because of its small size. Liu Dadan's enemies invited him on this sandbar to resolve their years of grievances. A group of people walked to the open space in the forest on the island, but Liu Dadan's enemies obviously hadn't come yet. Jiang Qixin said, Boss Liu, May I ask you about your relationship with that enemy? Liu Dadan was already very impressed with Jiang Qishan. Of course, my enemy is named Yan Kong. He used to be my brother many years ago, but in the end our relationship broke down because of one incident. He has been missing since then. I thought he is dead. But I didn't expect him to appear suddenly a few days ago, he said with a sigh. He kicked me several times in a row. My people are not his opponents at all. He sent a message that he would fight me here. Settle grudges. So that's the case, Boss Liu. Don't worry, I will definitely keep you safe. However, Xu Feng kept silent. He felt that Liu Dadan's enemy should not be that simple. Everyone waited, the sky gradually turned dark, and it was already evening, and the lights of the buildings by the river in the distance were all lit up. At this time, a small boat suddenly appeared on the river, heading towards the sandbar. Everyone knew that it should be the enemy who came, so they cheered up immediately. Sure enough, not long after, the boat docked and a person got off. The man walked slowly and stood 10 meters away from everyone. He was not surprised to see so many people around Liu Dadan. He said slowly, Liu Dadan, I will ask you to take back everything you did to me 10 years ago. Kong, I did not betray you, I have already given you enough compensation back then. Liu Dadan said quietly. Really? Sufficient compensation? Yan Kong laughed. The two of us worked together to start a business, but you kicked me away in the end. The little money you gave is also compensation. I didn't kick you away. Liu Dadan showed a trace of pain on his face. It was you who violated the company's articles of association. You are still so good at acting, Yan Kong sneered. I won't talk nonsense with you. I will take back everything that belongs to me today. Do you think these people can stop me? As soon as the words fell, one got up and rushed towards Liu Dadan. Chapter 81. One trick to solve. That Wang Hu quickly stopped him with more than 20 bodyguards. Yan Kong's speed was very fast, and the distance of 10 meters was shortened in an instant, and he rushed directly into the crowd of bodyguards. Like a wolf in a herd of sheep, those bodyguards have no power to fight at all, and everyone can't make a move in his hands. After a while, he was lying on the ground. Only Wang Hu was left. Seeing that his men had fallen, he gritted his teeth and rushed towards Yan Kong. Yan Kong whipped his kick and kicked Wang Hu directly. He thought that this kick would definitely bring Wang Hu down. Unexpectedly, Wang Hu's figure flashed and narrowly avoided the leg. Wang Hu avoided the kick, and he was surprised. How did my speed become faster? That Yan Kong missed the blow, and kicked again without stopping. Wang Hu kept dodging, and if he couldn't dodge, he blocked it with his hands. In the end, he lasted about 8 or 9 moves under Yan Kong's hands before being brought down. Yan Kong looked at Wang Hu who was lying on the ground, and said, that's right, it can last so long. And Xu Feng, who was watching from the side, had a clear light in his eyes. He knew that the half-zombie crystal he gave Wang Hu should have played a role. You can take the energy crystals home and give them to your parents. Yan Kong turned to look at Liu Dadan, and said contemptuously, I said earlier, no matter how many bodyguards you have, it's useless. Liu Dadan's face was also very ugly. He whispered to Jiang Qishan next to him, Mr. Jiang, it's all up to you for the rest. Jiang Qishan nodded, stepped forward, and said to Yan Kong, Your Excellency is indeed a martial artist with inner strength, so let me teach you. As soon as the words landed, his body changed shape, turned over with a kite, his body was in the air, and he slapped Yan Kong with his palms in a row. That Yan Kong shrank his eyes, retreated abruptly, and muttered, Interesting, you are also an inner strength warrior. As he said that, he also flew up, kicking his legs out in a row. Jiang Qishan, who was chasing him from the air, stretched out his palms to catch each of his legs, but every time he received a move, his body fell a bit, and he was finally kicked to the ground. But Yan Kong's legs were still like whales, continuous, like a storm hiding plantains. Jiang Qishan had no chance to fight back. After dozens of moves, a long-term defense is bound to fail. Jiang Qishan made a mistake, and Yan Kong kicked him in the chest, sending him flying more than 10 meters away. Jiang Qishan clutched his chest, spat out a big mouthful of blood, and said in horror, You turned out to be the inner strength. Dachin. Yan Kong withdrew his right leg that was kicking in the air, and said with a sneer, That's right, but I didn't expect Jiang Chang to have such a small master of internal strength like you. It's a pity that you met me. Shaking his head, Yan Kong turned his head and continued to look at Liu Dadan, saying, So this is your whole card, but unfortunately, I followed master, and I have already achieved great internal strength. Liu Dadan, today is your death date. Seeing that even Jiang Qishan was defeated, Liu Dadan's face turned deathly gray. He had long forgotten that there was Xu Feng next to him, and tremblingly said, Yan Kong, you, don't kill me, why don't you share half of my property? So, just please don't kill me. Give me half. Yan Kong jokingly said, do you think I'm stupid? If I kill you, I can get everything. Why should I choose to split half? Okay, you forced me to do this. Liu Dadan roared suddenly, pulled out a pistol from his waist, and pointed it at Yan Kong. Gun? Haha, do you think I'm afraid? Shoot. Yan Kong said fearlessly. That Liu Dadan's hand was trembling, and he was about to pull the trigger, but he felt that the gun in his hand had been blown away, and then he was kicked in the body, and fell down wailing. Yan Kong let out a sinister laugh, and said a little madly, Liu Dadan, I have been waiting for 10 years, a whole 10 years, you treacherous guy, I will kill you today. Wait? Xu Feng walked forward slowly, staring at Yan Kong, you can't kill him. Who are you? Yan Kong had actually seen Xu Feng, who had been standing by the side all along, but seeing that he hadn't made a move, he didn't care too much. I am the one who protects Boss Liu at his request. Liu Dadan, who was lying on the ground, seemed to think of Xu Feng at this moment, and regardless of whether it was useful or not, he stretched out his arms and hugged his leg and said anxiously, Mr. Xu, you must save me. Xu Feng smiled slightly at him, of course, but Boss Liu, don't forget to agree to my conditions. No, I promise you everything, 10 or 100 conditions are fine. That's good, then I'll get rid of this man for you. Xu Feng said it very easily, because he saw Yan Kong and Jiang Qishan fighting just now, and he has a comprehensive understanding of Yan Kong's strength, knowing that his so-called inner strength is at most equivalent to his own in the middle of the day after tomorrow's level. Yan Kong sneered, you brat who doesn't even have full hair, if you speak wild words, then I'll take care of you first. As he said that, he stretched his body and kicked Xu Feng's chest with his right leg. If the kick was real, ordinary people would definitely die on the spot. But Xu Feng just stretched out his right hand casually, and blocked his blow. That Yan Kong's body was horizontal in the air, his eyes were bigger than fish eyes. How is this possible? He knew how strong his leg was, even a stone the size of a millstone would be crushed to powder under his feet. After being surprised, he wanted to pull out his legs, but he found that his legs seemed to be bound by iron hoops. To deal with you, one move is enough. Xu Feng held his foot, pulled it behind him, and punched him in the chest at the same time. This punch hit Yan Kong's chest perfectly, sending him flying more than 10 meters away, before he fell to the ground and vomited blood. Xu Feng used all his strength for this blow, and Yan Kong already had no strength to act. Everyone present looked at Xu Feng in shock. None of them expected that such a powerful Yan Kong would be dealt with by Xu Feng with one move. Especially Jiang Qishan, who was lying on the side, his jaw dropped the most. What happened tonight? He felt beyond his decades of cognition. First, there came out a martial artist who had only heard about it in rumors, and then it was even more perverted. This young man actually defeated the inner strength Dachan with one move, so isn't he the legendary master of transformation? Thinking of how coldly and mocking Grandmaster he was in the afternoon, he felt distressed in his heart. Liu Dadan was also extremely shocked. He slowly got up, coughed and said to Xu Feng, Mr. Xu, thank you so much for saving your life. It's okay, I'm just fulfilling my promise. Xu Feng said lightly. Liu Dadan bowed to him, then picked up the pistol from the ground, and walked slowly in front of Yan Kong. Kong, since you want to kill me, then I can't keep you. Yan Kong spat out a mouthful of blood, and said with a smirk, Liu, you will die. Bang bang bang, gunshots shook the night sky. Xu Feng was stunned, he didn't expect Liu Dadan to shoot. Yan Kong, who was on the ground, was shot several times and was already dead. Then Liu Dadan threw the gun, and said to Wang Hu, who got up behind him, take care of it. Come up to Xu Feng and say, Mr. Xu, let's go first. Xu Feng looked at Yan Kong's body and shook his head, followed Liu Dadan back on the boat, and he didn't care about the rest. When they got to the shore, Liu Dadan said that he would thank Xu Feng well, but Xu Feng declined, but let Liu Dadan remember his promise and come to him when needed. Then he returned to the rental house by himself. After completing this matter, he's equivalent to having the favor of Liu Dadan, the boss of Jiangchen, which will definitely play a role in dealing with a song group in the future. After resting for a day, Xu Feng officially chose the next world to travel through. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82, Guobai County. The Next World, a Chinese Ghost Story. Xu Feng thought that if he wants to improve his strength, the best way is to go to a world with the ghosts and gods or cultivators. In such a world, he can get cultivation skills to break through the limit of martial arts. Originally, I chose the world of comprehension, and those fairy tale novels were a better choice, but Xu Feng went to Kidian app to read it. Every time a book of this kind is opened, the required system currency is too amazing. There are tens of thousands of system coins. In front of the terrifying system currency, he had no choice but to shrink back, and after more than a day of comparison, he finally chose the movie A Chinese Ghost Story. Although Yan Chix's Taoism in the movie may be inferior to other worlds, but it is also very good for entry level. Moreover, the plot of the movie is very simple and clear, and he is also relatively easy to control. Those worlds with a relatively large story structure will cause more troubles after entering. After having the portable space, Xu Feng can make some preparations in advance to travel across the different world. Of course, there are not many things that can work in the different world in the real world. Xu Feng mainly brought some instant food, and also brought some modern drinks. In A Chinese Ghost Story, the world is in chaos, so it is always right to prepare food. Of course, it is also necessary to change into an ancient costume. Xu Feng bought several sets of ancient costumes from the internet, which are enough for him to wear in the ancient world. After he was ready, he was already familiar with the process of crossing. Open the movie A Chinese Ghost Story, the system prompts, do you want to spend 3,578 system coins to purchase this world? Press OK. Time-space fluctuations appear, and Xu Feng disappears into the room. In the world of A Chinese Ghost Story, a flash of light flashed, and Xu Feng's figure had already appeared in a wild place. With a glance, he found that not far in front of him, there was a stone tablet standing half upside down, with traditional characters written on it, Guobai County. It seems that this is outside Guobai County, and the system's teleportation location is well chosen. After helping the scholar's hat on his head, Xu Feng walked towards the market. After a while, when they came to Guobai County, they saw that the city was in chaos. On a big notice board at the entrance of the market, there were many portraits of criminals who were wanted for a lot of money. Many vicious people took portraits and caught everyone on the street for comparison, apparently wanting to get a bounty. Once they heard someone shouting stop, those people quickly picked up their knives and chased after them, looking like a hungry tiger rushing for food. It is obviously irresponsible for the government to use this method to arrest repeat offenders. You don't need to think about it, but you know that many innocent people will be caught in prison. From these small details, you can know the corruption of the current government in this world. Xu Feng looked at all this, shook his head, and only one sentence came to mind: I would rather be a dog of peace than a person in a troubled world. He went straight to the shop where Ningkachan collected a bill in the movie, and then ordered a table of sumptuous dishes, eating his first meal in this world. Although I ordered the best dishes in the store, the taste was still lackluster. Obviously the place is too remote. After eating and drinking enough, Xu Feng took out a gold ingot from his portable space, but it was obvious that one gold ingot was not enough for a meal. So he took out a long Quan sword by the way, cut off a small corner from the ingot, got up and went to the counter, and threw the broken gold to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper saw that it was gold, his eyes popped out. Shopkeeper, don't look for it anymore, I'll ask you a question. Guest officer, I will know everything you want to ask. The shopkeeper said with a smile on his face. That is, has a scholar come to you to collect the bill recently? Scholar. The shopkeeper shook his head suspiciously. I haven't seen it before. Never seen it? That means that Ningkachan hasn't come yet, and Xu Feng has a good idea of the progress of the plot. He then continued, Shopkeeper, I have another question. How can I get to Lianruo Temple? As soon as the words Lianruo Temple came out, the noisy inn fell silent instantly, and everyone stared at Xu Feng strangely. Xu Feng knew that these people had heard about Lianruo Temple being haunted, so they kept silent about Lianruo Temple, but he had to go to Lianruo Temple because Yan Qixa lived in Lianruo Temple. The shopkeeper hesitated for a while before he said, "Guest officer, are you really going to Lianruo Temple?" "Yes, shopkeeper, tell me quickly." "Okay then," the shopkeeper sighed. "Walk 3 miles east from here, there is a gloomy ancient temple, that's it." "Thank you." Xu Feng bid farewell to the shopkeeper, left the inn, and suddenly found a shop selling dead goods next to the inn. He remembered that in the plot, when Ning Keichen's clothes were printed with the store's dead man's money, the female ghost Nai Zioqian was very frightened, so it meant that the money should have some effect on ghosts. Xu Feng knew that although his martial arts were already very high, he might not be effective against these illusory ghosts and the like. Thinking of this, he went to the store and bought a lot of dead money. The dead money in this store is very special, with crooked paintings on it, more like spells. Seeing that he bought so much money from dead people, the shopkeeper asked curiously, "My lord, a relative in your family passed away recently? I still have all kinds of accessories here, do you want to come and buy them together?" "Your family just died," Xu Feng said angrily. "I took it to Lianruo Temple and burned it to those lonely ghosts." When the storekeeper heard him talking about Lianruo Temple, his eyes widened in horror. Ignoring his shock, Xu Feng put the paper money into his portable space, then turned and left. But after walking for a while, he found a person behind him. Turning around, it was the storekeeper who was measuring his height with a ruler. "What are you doing?" Xu Feng asked suspiciously. The storekeeper took it for granted. "Measure your height. I not only sell paper money, but also coffins. First measure and make a coffin for you." "I'll fuck you." Xu Feng kicked him away and cursed, "Unlucky, you curse me one after another, believe it or not, I smashed your shop." The shopkeeper quickly got up and ran away in a hurry. Xu Feng walked towards the east of the city, but when he was about to leave the city, he saw a person selling paintings at a stall on the side of the road. The painting is a peerless beauty. Could it be that this is the portrait of Nai Zioqian? Xu Feng rubbed his chin, knowing that this should be a key item, so we'll wait until we get it. So he stepped forward, pointed at the painting and said, "Boss, this painting is not bad. My lord, you have really good taste." The boss had a wretched smile on his face. "How much is it?" "I bought it." Xu Feng was not short of money. "Ah, young master not only has high taste, but also high status. This painting costs 1 tael of silver." After paying the money, Xu Feng put the painting in his portable space, and then went out of the city to Lianruo Temple. Chapter 83 Yan Qixa. The sky had turned dark, and there was a virgin forest on the road leading to Lianruo Temple, where wild wolves appeared. Xu Feng didn't light any lanterns either. He took out a flashlight directly from the portable space, which was also one of the preparations he made before coming. Originally, his eyes could see in the dark, but after all, he couldn't see clearly with a flashlight. With a flashlight, he headed towards Lianruo Temple, and when he reached the depths of the woods, he heard the howling of wild wolves. Xu Feng didn't care about these wolves. If they came out, he was sure to kill them all by himself. But it seemed that he was afraid of the light of the flashlight in his hand. Although the howling of wolves had never stopped, no wolf showed up. After walking for about an hour, we finally arrived. I saw a big collapsed stone tablet in the wild grass, with the words Lianruo Temple written on it. Behind the stele, a dilapidated and gloomy ancient temple can be seen faintly. With a flashlight on, he walked up the grassy steps step by step, and came to Lianruo Temple, but saw a Taoist priest sitting there. The Taoist seemed to be drinking. When he suddenly saw the bright flashlight, he was startled, and shouted, "Who is it?" Xu Feng turned off the flashlight, put it in his portable space, walked forward, and cupped his hands at the Taoist priest, saying, "The younger generation is a scholar who is going to Beijing to rush for an exam. He passed by here, but his money was stolen, so he can't stay in an inn. I had no choice but to come here to spend the night." This was an excuse that Xu Feng had thought up a long time ago. He knew that the person in front of him was Yan Qixa he was looking for. Yan Qixa was a hot-handed judge in the 26 provinces of Kansai and Guangdong. Because she hated officialdom, she lived with the ghosts and monsters here in Lianruo Temple, away from the filthy world. Scholar who came to Beijing to catch the exam. Yan Qixa took a sip of wine and said with a sneer, "In today's world, treacherous officials control the government and corrupt officials are all over the world. Do you want to get a share of it?" Xu Feng was taken aback for a moment, But thinking that Yan Qixe hated officialdom, she was so sensitive about her status as a scholar rushing for the exam. Senior, how could I have such nasty thoughts? Xu Feng said sincerely, I have read the poems and books of sages and sages since I was a child, and what I have always cherished is the ideal of establishing a heart for the world, a life for the people, and peace for all generations. Not to be a corrupt official. Haha, what an ideal of building a heart for the world and for the people, I am. Yan Qixe stood up, staring at Xu Feng. It's just bullshit. Who didn't those corrupt officials think about you back then? Ideal. But now they have all become corrupt officials for the common people. The more he spoke, the angrier he became. He pulled out the long sword behind him abruptly and pointed it at Xu Feng. Since you are going to become a corrupt official in the end, I might as well kill you now, lest there be another disaster in the world. Xu Feng was stunned for a moment, thinking that Yan Qixe was really making trouble for no reason. There are so many corrupt officials in the world. If the problem is not solved fundamentally, what's the use of killing corrupt officials? And you haven't gone to the exam yet. You are going to kill me, which doesn't make sense legally. However, people in the Sierra can't speak the law, and I still have to ask Yan Qixe, so I must gain his trust, and I can't fight him. It seems that I can only rely on my own words to influence him. Senior, you are right. The world today is a big divat, and this junior cannot guarantee that he will not be corrupted. Upon hearing this, Yan Qixe's eyes revealed a fierce look, and she was about to hand out her long sword. Xu Feng quickly changed his voice, but, do I give up my efforts because of this? Do I live in seclusion here and do nothing like you, senior? I can't do it. Even if a gnat shakes a tree, I will do my best. The world needs someone to stand up, and I am willing to be the one who stands up, but if I really fail to withstand the temptation and become a corrupt official, it's not too late for you to kill me, senior. What Xu Feng said was full of emotion, and even he himself was almost moved by his great feelings. Yan Qixe was also touched by Xu Feng's words, thinking that she lived in seclusion in Lanruo Temple and didn't care about the world. Is she really alone? He slowly put down the long sword. You boy, you have a lot of bullshit beliefs, very similar to when I was young, but ideals alone are useless. I won't kill you, you go. Let's go. Senior, I have nowhere to go at night. Xu Feng said awkwardly. I don't care where you go, you can't stay here anyway. Yan Qixe turned her head away. Xu Feng knew that Yan Qixe had good intentions, and was afraid that he would be eaten by ghosts if he lived here, but he wanted to establish a good relationship with him and learn Taoism, so how could he leave? Senior, I'm penniless, do you want me to sleep in the wilderness? Xu Feng said pitifully, there are many wild wolves in the woods outside Lanruo Temple, and I will be eaten by them. Yan Qixe turned her head suddenly, squinted her eyes sideways, stared like copper bells, stared at Xu Feng and said, what do you know, kid? The things in Lanruo Temple are 1,000 times more terrifying than wild wolves. Something scarier than wild wolves. Xu Feng knew he was talking about ghosts, but he still pretended to be stupid and said, Senior, you didn't scare me, did you? You don't have to lie to scare people even if you want to enjoy Lanruo Temple to yourself. I scare you? You really don't know what to do. Yan Qixe said, shaking her head and sighing, forget it, you can stay if you want, I have already warned you anyway. When the voice fell to the ground, his figure moved and disappeared in Lanruo Temple. Seeing that the scheme had succeeded, Xu Feng slowly walked towards the temple. As long as he stayed, there would always be a chance to get acquainted with Yan Qixe slowly. He took out a flashlight, walked to the second floor, opened one of the rooms, stood at the door and observed with a flashlight, and saw nothing unusual, so he went in and closed the door. The layout of the room is very simple, a bed, a desk, and a candle on the desk. Putting away the flashlight, using the power of Yan Long's palm, lit the candle, and the room was lit up with a dim orange light. After cleaning the dust and closing the doors and windows, Xu Feng felt a little scared when he thought that he was in a haunted and gloomy ancient temple. After all, human beings have a subconscious fear of ghosts, which are beyond scientific explanation. It's okay. Xu Feng took a deep breath. Isn't there another Yan Qixe? He will definitely not die. Suppressing the fear in my heart, I sat on the bed and began to think about my future plans. But just when he was fascinated by his thoughts, the wind suddenly blew up in the room, and the light of the candle was flickered. Xu Feng was startled, thinking that there is really a ghost coming out. The wind blew for a while and then gradually disappeared. Xu Feng waited for a while, but nothing unusual happened. Could it be that I'm paranoid? Seeing that the window was blown open by the wind, he got up and went forward to close the window. When he closed the window and turned around, he was startled, only to see a beautiful woman in white gauze standing behind him. Thanks to the book-friendly book Hard to Find Eggs Hurt a Lot, The Obedient Baby, Ye Xiner for their rewards. I also recommend a friend's new book Traveling Through Time to Pretend to Be Awesome. Friends who are in a shortage of books can read it. Chapter 84, The Female Ghost Ye Xiner. I saw that her shoulders were shaved, her waist was plain, her skin was creamy, her hands were soft, her collar was like a grub, her teeth were like a gored rhinoceros, her face was a little pale, she was a stunning classical beauty. After Xu Feng was surprised, he knew that the beautiful woman who suddenly appeared in front of him should be the female ghost Ye Xiner. He pretended to be calm and said, "Girl, why did you suddenly appear in my room?" Then Ye Xiner raised her sleeve to cover her cheek, showing half of her face, and said shyly, "I came to this wild place alone, and when I saw the light in the young master's room, I came in." When the voice fell to the ground, she suddenly threw herself into Xu Feng's arms and said, "Master, I'm so scared." Xu Feng only felt that the body in his arms was as light as nothing, and he could vaguely feel it, as well as a faint fragrance wafting into his nose. He forced Ye Xiner to get up from his arms and said, "Girl, since you are afraid, why are you afraid? We'll go to such a remote place alone at such a late hour." Then Ye Xiner turned her beautiful eyes, and suddenly made a weeping look. "My parents and I passed by here, but we met a robber. My parents were killed by the robbers to protect me. I was the only one who escaped and saw I escaped into this ancient temple. Son, you have to protect him." With an expression of pity for me, she once again devoted herself to Xu Feng's. Ye Xiner's rhetoric is actually full of loopholes. It's a pity that those former scholars or people who passed by Lanruo Temple were already fascinated by her beauty. Who would think about whether what she said was true or not? Xu Feng, however, knew clearly that she was a ghost, a female ghost. She and her parents did pass by this place back then, but the person killed by the robbers was herself, and her parents buried her ashes in an ancient tree underneath. They planned to retrieve them later, but unexpectedly they were killed by the robbers immediately. However, Ye Xiner's soul was controlled by the 1,000-year-old tree demon. She used her beauty to absorb the essence of living people in Lanruo Temple to cultivate for the tree demon. Xu Feng knew that what he had to do was to stick to his heart and resist this stunning female ghost Ye Xiner. As long as he was not bewitched by it, the 1,000-year-old tree demon would not show up. "Girl, what happened to you is really pitiful, but men and women can't accept each other, so don't get so close to me," Xu Feng said and helped Ye Xiner from his arms again. Ye Xiner was very surprised. She was the most beautiful among all the sisters controlled by her grandma. In the past, she was always successful. She provided grandma with the most men, and grandma doted on her the most. She clearly knows that as long as a man sees her, none of them won't have a bad idea, let alone in this wilderness. As long as she guides her a little, those stinky men will. But the person in front of him is not moved by him. Could it be that he is really a gentleman, or is it that I didn't understand clearly enough? Ye Xiner thought about it, and said again, full of authenticity, "My lord, I'm really scared. My heart is pounding with fright. I don't believe you." She actually took Xu Feng's hand. Xu Feng only felt it. Ye Xiner was touched by Xu Feng's hand. Hearing this sound, I almost lost my mind and soul, especially coupled with her alluring face. Few men could resist such a temptation. Thinking of those who were killed by her, Xu Feng felt that their death was not wronged. But he won't be one of them. He withdrew his hand, pushed Ye Xiner to the ground with all his heart, and said, "Girl, please respect yourself. Although I don't have a family yet, I will never take advantage of others' danger. My lord, it hurts so much for you to fall." Ye Xiner fell to the ground, but instead of getting up, she rolled on the ground. Hey, girl, you." Looking at the rolling on the ground, no, he didn't think he overestimated himself, but underestimated Ye Xiner's ability. This female ghost is indeed very good at it. Although he really wanted to watch it, Xu Feng knew that he would really fall, so he turned around at the last moment and turned his back on Ye Xiner. Muttering in his mouth, the master said, "Don't see anything wrong with propriety, don't hear anything wrong with propriety, don't speak anything wrong with propriety." Ye Xiner lay on the ground, looked at Xu Feng's back, and his nagging, suddenly laughed. She believed that Xu Feng was a gentleman. Flying up, the clothes on his body have returned to normal, and he took a last look at Xu Feng's back, and suddenly moved, broke through the window and flew away. "You are a good man. Go away at dawn and don't come here again." The voice came from afar. Xu Feng turned around slowly and saw that the window was open, and there was no shadow of the beautiful woman. He breathed a sigh of relief, but suddenly felt a little lost again. Going forward to close the window, returning to the bed, thinking about the scenes just now, the face of the female ghost Ye Xiner appeared in front of her eyes from time to time. If only she wasn't a ghost, then we'll. Just as he was doing so, a system voice sounded in his mind inappropriately. System task, personally help Ye Xiner reincarnate, includes 2 side tasks. 10,000. Kill the Millennium Tree Demon, and, kill the Black Mountain Old Demon, reward system coins, I rely on the system, sister. Is there anyone like you? You are such a bad person and good deed, I curse you. Xu Feng shouted angrily. But he suddenly remembered what the system said. Wait, you actually rewarded, system coins? Since when did you become so generous, sister system? I'm not generous, it's just a reward based on the difficulty of the task. There are other YYs, if you have the kindness. You, just do it, you have the guts to let her come again. Xu Feng said firmly. The system was speechless. Xu Feng began to seriously think about this task in his mind. The sister of the system is actually very kind to him, and the tasks given to him are not mandatory, and if he can complete it, he will not be punished like other systems. It's just that it is more ruthless. It strictly controls his system currency. He has always been in a state of lack of system currency. Facing the temptation of this system currency, he has to try to complete the task no matter what. To help Ye Xiner reincarnate, the 2 major obstacles are the Millennium Tree Demon and the Heishan Old Demon of Hell. Now the system asked him to kill the Millennium Dryad, and the difficulty increased by another level. And recalling the word in person, Xu Feng asked aloud, Sister System, what do you mean by doing it yourself? Can't I get someone to help? No, there can be plot characters to help, but you have to play the main role in it. Play the main role. Touching his chin, Xu Feng thought about it, and had already made up his mind, and slowly fell asleep. Ask for a recommendation ticket, ask for a reward to buy instant noodles, woo woo. Chapter 85 Stop Ninkachin. He slept peacefully all night, and when the sun shone and in the morning, Xu Feng woke up on time. He stretched himself, got dressed, took out bread and milk from his portable space, and began to enjoy breakfast. While eating, the door of the room was suddenly kicked open violently. Boy, let me see if you are dead. Followed by the sound, Yang Qiqia walked in. Seeing Xu Feng sitting there intact, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. He walked forward and said with a smile, Boy, your life is really big. Xu Feng took a mouthful of bread, and said vaguely, Senior, what are you talking about? I live here well, is there any danger? Really? Yang Qiqia's eyes widened. Didn't you see anything strange last night? Strange things. Xu Feng pretended to be stupid. No, I went to bed very early last night, so I didn't see anything. Yang Qiqia looked him around suspiciously, and murmured, Could it be that you are really a fool? He said that his eyes were attracted by the bread and milk in Xu Feng's hands, and he said curiously, What are you eating, kid? This steamed bun looks so strange. Haha, it's not steamed buns, it's bread, Xu Feng said, and with a thought, he took out another bread and milk from his portable space. Senior, you haven't had breakfast yet, so here's this for you. Said and handed it to Yang Qiqia. No, Yang Qiqia said stubbornly, although she clearly wanted to eat it, I won't be bribed by your kid. This is not a bribe, and I don't want you to pay it back, eat it. Xu Feng said sincerely. Yang Qiqia lived alone in this ancient temple, and every day he ate some cold steamed buns, or baked some wild game casually, smelling the pure fragrance of bread and milk, swallowed, and finally couldn't help but feel the warmth from Xu Feng. I took it by hand. I won't eat you for nothing, you stay in this ancient temple for a day, and I will protect you for a day. Then thank you, Senior. Xu Feng said pleasantly. He knew that in this world, whether he wanted to learn Taoism or complete system tasks, Yang Qiqia was definitely the most critical person. It smells so good. Yang Qiqia took a bite of the bread and couldn't help admiring. He hastily gobbled it up. Half a loaf of bread disappeared in his mouth in a blink of an eye. It's just a bit bland. It would be better if there are some side dishes. Xu Feng thought about it, thinking that he seems to have an old godmother with him, so he took out a bottle of Liao Ganma from his portable space, and said to Yan Xixia, "Senior, try this." "What is this?" Yan Xixia asked curiously. "Haha, this is my homemade hot sauce, it's delicious." So in the following time, the two cooperated with the old godmother and had a hearty breakfast. Yan Xixia even ate 5 loaves of bread in one go. "You boy, this old godmother hot sauce is really delicious, and the steamed bun called bread, I have never heard of it before." Yan Xixia stroked her swollen stomach and burped comfortably. "Haha, senior, if you like to eat, come to eat every morning from now on. I guess I will live here for a while, because I have to wait for my family to send me some dishes, otherwise I won't be able to go to Beijing to catch the exam." Yan Xixia shook her head. "This place is not a place to stay for a long time, you better leave early, boy." "Thank you for the reminder, senior. By the way, Junior Xu Feng, I don't know the name of senior." Xu Feng asked clearly. "My name is Yan Xixia." It turned out to be Hero Yan. Xu Feng cupped his hands. "I have admired him for a long time." "Long Yang, how did you know me?" Yan Xixia scolded angrily. Xu Feng smiled awkwardly, knowing that Yan Xixia was a real temperament. "By the way, I'm going to the town to write a letter to my family today, so I'm leaving first." Go, it's best not to come back." Yan Xixia waved her hand. Xu Feng cupped his hands, turned and opened the door of the room, and left Lanruo Temple. Lanruo Temple during the day is not so gloomy, and of course there are no wolves in the woods. It is false that Xu Feng went to the town to write a letter to his family. What he really wanted to do was to go to the town to prevent Ning Kaichen from entering Lanruo Temple. He thought about it all night last night, and knew that to complete the system's tasks, especially in which he emphasized himself, he had to stop the original plot. In the movie, Ning Kaichen and Yan Xixia completed this task. Now that I want to play a major role in it, I must prevent the original male protagonist Ning Kaichen from appearing. When Xu Feng came to the market, he had carefully recalled the plot in his heart. The reason why Ning Kaichen went to Lanruo Temple was because he failed to collect the bills and had nowhere to live. And his failure to collect the account was because his account book was wet by the rain, so what I have to do is to prevent his account book from getting wet, so that Ning Kaichen can receive the account smoothly and leave. Thinking of this, Xu Feng went to a grocery store, bought 2 umbrellas, and then went out of the city. When passing by the store selling dead goods on the road, the owner glanced at Xu Feng and sat down in shock when he saw Xu Feng. He rubbed his eyes, and when he looked over, Xu Feng had disappeared into the crowd. "I must be dazzled, how could someone come out of Lanruo Temple alive?" The shopkeeper shook his head and continued to take care of his business. Xu Feng went straight to the outside of the city and found a stone tablet with 3 characters written Guobi County. He remembered that when Ning Kaichen entered from here, it started to rain. Time passed by little. Xu Feng was actually not sure that Ning Kaichen would come today, but he decided to wait until dark. If he didn't wait today, then come back tomorrow. After about 2 hours, the sky suddenly began to turn black, as if it was going to rain. Xu Feng thought there was something interesting, and sure enough, after a while, he saw a scholar with a book basket on his back, appearing from the distance of the road. The book was very handsome, and his face was a bit haggard because of the long journey. He wiped his sweat and saw Xu Feng. He stepped forward and said, "Excuse me, do you know how to get to Guobi County?" Xu Feng didn't answer his question, but instead asked, "Are you Ning Kaichen?" The scholar was taken aback and said, "How do you know my name? It doesn't matter anymore. I can pinch it and forget it. I also know that you are here to collect the bill. I also know that it is going to rain, so I brought you an umbrella. This. Ning Kaichen was stunned, and he admired, "Sir, you are really a master. Let's go, I'll take you to Guobi County," Xu Feng said, handing him an umbrella. Ning Kaichen took it in trepidation, and the two of them didn't walk for a while, when there was a burst of lightning and thunder in the sky, and it started to rain heavily. The two hurriedly opened their umbrellas. The rain was loud, and Ning Kaichen shouted, "Sir, you are amazing, it's really raining." Xu Feng felt disgusted in his heart. The sky turned dark, ghosts knew it was going to rain, you scholar didn't bring an umbrella when you went out, and you asked me to give it to you. Chapter 86 Duel in the Ancient Temple. Xu Feng took Ning Kaichen for more than 10 miles, and arrived at Guobi County. As soon as the two arrived at the county seat, the sky was strangely clear. Putting away the umbrella, Ning Keqian asked, "Brother, I don't know your name yet. My name is Xu Feng. I sent a boat out to the west, and I will accompany you to collect the bill." Xu Feng was actually worried that something might happen again, and he had to see him receive the bill in person to be completely at ease. "Thank you so much, brother," Ning Keqian said with a silly smile. The two went all the way to the inn. The street was still so chaotic. There were vicious people with big knives sitting in the roadside taverns. Ning Keqian followed Xu Feng, carefully surveyed the entire county, and said in a low voice, "Brother Xu, this Guobai county doesn't seem to be peaceful. It's good that you know that bandits are rampant in Guobai county, and the county magistrate is an absolute corrupt official. After you receive the bill, leave as soon as possible, or you may be robbed." Xu Feng said in a threatening tone. Upon hearing this, Ning Keqian's face changed, and he said hastily, "After I receive the bill, I will definitely not stay here any longer." When the two came to the inn, the shopkeeper was lowering his head and thinking about his calculations. Ning Keqian stepped forward and said with a smile, "Boss, I'm here to collect the bill from Taobao's He." "A bill collector?" The shopkeeper looked up at Ning Keqian, and muttered, "Why do the people come differently every time?" Ning Keqian put down the book basket, took out the ledger, and said, "The person who collected the bill last time was killed on the way back, so it was me instead." "Killed by someone? Anyway, you will be killed by someone after receiving the bill, so it's better to take advantage of me." The shopkeeper waved his hand. "Don't accept it, don't accept it." Ning Keqian smiled awkwardly, "Boss, don't be joking." He opened the account book and said, "Boss, your rent is 23 taels in total." The shopkeeper had a reluctance on his face, his eyes were rolling, obviously he was looking at Ning Keqian, a frail scholar, and wanted to make a bad idea and renege on his debt. "What? Boss, why don't you pay Mr. Ning the rent soon?" Xu Feng had been standing at the door before, and didn't go in. Seeing the shopkeeper's furious look, he knew that the situation was not good, so he couldn't help but speak. Hearing the voice, the shopkeeper turned his head to look at Xu Feng, but leaned back in shock, and said in horror, "Why, is it you? Are you a human, a ghost?" "Of course I'm human. You, the shopkeeper, don't want to renege on your debts, do you?" Xu Feng smiled. "No, how could it be?" The shopkeeper quickly took out the money and handed it to Ning Keqian. "I'll give you the rent." "Thanks, boss." Ning Keqian got the rent, and happily left the inn with Xu Feng. "Okay, you have received the bill, leave here quickly, remember not to stay here too long, I'm leaving," Xu Feng said to Ning Keqian as soon as he left the inn. "Ah, Brother Xu, I still want to treat you to a meal to thank you. If it weren't for you, I would not have received the bill so smoothly," Ning Keqian said gratefully. "No, I'm leaving." As Xu Feng said, he headed towards the east of the city without looking back. When we arrived at Lanruo Temple, it was completely dark. Xu Feng was pacing up the steps in front of the temple when he suddenly heard the sound of fighting from the square in front of the temple. Hearing the sound, he hurried up, only to see Yan Qiqia fighting fiercely with a man in golden armor. The figures of the two were erratic, almost invisible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, tens of hundreds of moves have been exchanged, and the two of them flew over the eaves and walls, with complicated and gorgeous moves. Yan Qiqia suddenly jumped up and disappeared in Lanruo Temple. Xiao Hao also jumped up immediately, and looked around, but found no trace of Yan Qiqia. While Xia Hao was looking left and right, Yan Qixia's figure suddenly appeared from a certain corner of the temple. Xia Hao was caught off guard and quickly backed away, but was still stabbed by Yan Qixia's long sword. The two fell from the air one after another, pointing their swords at each other. A shocking wound on Xia Hao's shoulder was bleeding. Yan Qiqia pointed her sword at the other party, and said in a loud voice, "Brother Xia Hao, you and I have fought for 7 years, and you have been defeated for 7 years, but you are quite patient. Wherever I hide, you will chase after me. Where to?" Xia Hao looked down at the wound on his shoulder, and said in a deep voice, "Yan Qiqia, I didn't expect you to sharpen your sword sharper after staying in Lanruo Temple for half a month. No, it's just that you wasted your youth. You are too ambitious and don't seek to make progress. For the sake of the title of the best sword in the world, your intentions are not right, and your moves are indeterminate. You have another problem. You are fast and inaccurate with your sword." Xia Hao said angrily, "Yan Qiqia, I'm here to compete with you, not to listen to your lectures." He withdrew his long sword, turned and left. Yan Qiqia also slowly lowered her long sword, shook her head, and sighed. Seeing that they had finished fighting, Xu Feng walked out cautiously from the side. That Yan Xixia suddenly became alert, and shouted, "Who is it?" She moved forward and was already in front of Xu Feng, pointing her sword at Xu Feng's neck. "Ha, ha, the senior is me," Xu Feng hurriedly said. "It's you." Yan Xixia didn't put away the long sword. "Didn't I tell you not to come again? Why are you here again?" I really have nowhere to go." Xu Feng spread his hands helplessly. Yan Xixia snorted, put the sword back into the scabbard on her back, turned and walked towards the main hall of Lanruo Temple. Xu Feng took a breath, and slowly followed behind him into the main hall. In the main hall, there were many tattered curtains hanging and fluttering in the wind. Under a dilapidated Buddha statue in the middle, there was a small fire with a rabbit roasting on it. Yan Xixia went straight over and sat down, picked up a wine gourd from the side and started drinking. Uninvited, Xu Feng sat down slowly, sniffed his nose, and exclaimed, "This rabbit is so delicious roasted." Yan Xixia didn't answer, but just drank the wine in silence. Xu Feng changed his mind, and said, "Hero Yan, I just saw you fighting with that person. Your martial arts are really very strong. If I can learn some of your martial arts, in this troubled world, and have the power to protect themselves." Yan Xixia snorted and didn't answer, but took the rabbit from the fire, tore off half of it violently, and handed it to Xu Feng. "Eat it. I ate your steamed buns this morning, now try my cooking." Xu Feng took half of the rabbit and took a bite. It really had a special flavor. He was already very hungry, but the rabbit meat was wiped out in a blink of an eye. The two of them were eating, when suddenly in the dark night outside, there was a tragic call from a distance. Yan Xixia's face changed. "No, it's Brother Yuelao. That monster has haunted you again." He quickly got up and picked up the long sword, and said to Xu Feng, "Stay here and don't move, I will go back as soon as I go." Chapter 87 Hobbies. When Xu Feng heard the scream, he knew that Yuelao couldn't resist Nizioqian's temptation, and a generation of masters died. He shook his head and got up to go back to bed. As soon as he walked out of the hall, he saw a scholar looking around spookily. Who else could it be? Ningqichen? Damn, it's really a ghost. Didn't we get the bill? Why did you come here again? Ningqichen suddenly saw Xu Feng at the entrance of the main hall, and didn't see Xu Feng's displeasure on his face, so he stepped forward happily and said, "Brother Xu, I didn't expect to see you here." Xu Feng was so angry that his hard work during the day was all in vain. He stepped forward and grabbed Ningqichen by the collar, gritted his teeth and said, "Didn't I tell you to leave immediately after receiving the bill? Are you what happened?" Ningqichen said, "Ahem, Brother Xu, let me go. I want to leave too, but it was getting dark at the time, and it was too unsafe to walk at night." "Then you can also stay in a hotel in the city. What are you doing here?" Xu Feng still insisted. "City. The inn in the city is too expensive. I asked them where there is free accommodation, so I came here." Xu Feng put down his collar abruptly. He didn't know what to say. "Do you know what's in Lanruo Temple? I advise you to leave immediately, or you may lose your life tonight." Xu Feng had no choice but to continue threatening. Really? Brother Xu, but I saw wild wolves on the way here, and they will eat me when I go back now," Ningqichen said pitifully. Xu Feng had no choice but to put his hand on his forehead, knowing that the plot was against him. Many thoughts flashed through my mind quickly, knowing that now I have to let Ningqichen stay here for one night, and I will absolutely send this annoying person away the next morning. But what we have to do tonight is not to let Ningqichen and Nizioqian meet. After thinking about it, he opened his mouth and said, "Okay, but I'm not trying to scare you with empty words. There are really unclean things in Lanruo Temple. Haven't you seen that people in the city are silent about Lanruo Temple?" Ningqichen recalled that when he asked about Lanruo Temple, he was really like this. His face was pale with fright, and he tremblingly said, "Xu. Brother Xu, then, what should I do? You can sleep with me tonight, I will protect you." Xu Feng's move was just to keep an eye on Ningqichen better. Then thank you Brother Xu, you are really a knight," Ningqichen said from the bottom of his heart. So Xu Feng took Ningqichen to the room where he slept last night on the second floor, and it was normal to open the door. But there was only one bed in the room, so Ningqichen had to open the mat on the ground beside him and sleep on the ground. The two slept until midnight, when they were suddenly awakened by a beautiful piano sound. The sound of the piano came from afar, and it was very clear in this quiet night, and there was also a woman's singing voice mixed with the sound of the piano. The voice was light and beautiful. Xu Feng was startled, knowing that Nizioqian should be playing the piano, seducing the passers-by. Sure enough, Ning Kaichen woke up, attracted by the sound of the piano, got up and was about to open the door to go out. Xu Feng hurriedly shouted, "Hey, what are you doing?" But Ning Kaichen seemed to have lost his mind, and could no longer hear Xu Feng's cry. Xu Feng quickly got out of bed, and before Ning Kaichen opened the door, he slashed at the back of Ning Kaichen's head, knocking him unconscious. "I won't let you see Nizioqian." Xu Feng picked him up and threw him back on the mat. He went forward to open the window and look towards the source of the sound. Sure enough, he saw a small pavilion by the water in the distance, surrounded by white gauze, with a faint figure of a woman in the middle. After watching for a while, Xu Feng closed the window and shook his head. He thought that Nizioqian was also a poor woman. After she died, she would be forced to sell her body every night by the tree demon. If no one rescued her, she would never be reborn forever. Period. Back on the bed, just about to go to sleep, there was a knock on the door suddenly. Who knocked on the door so late? Could it be Yamchiksha? Xu Feng stepped forward to open the door in doubt, but there was a peerless beauty in white gauze standing outside the door. It was Nizioqian. When Nizioqian saw him, she said nervously, "Master, it's really you. Didn't I tell you to leave here?" Xu Feng was taken aback, and said, "It's you. I will stay here for a few more days, and I won't leave for the time being." Nizioqian raised her hand and said anxiously, "Master, you will be in danger here, do you know that? There is a murderous bearded man living in Lanruo Temple. Big beard." Xu Feng was taken aback for a moment before realizing that she must be talking about Yan Chiksha. He knew in his heart that she was worried about him, so he wanted to scare him and tell him to leave quickly. I was moved in my heart, knowing that Nizioqian was kind after all, and she had no choice but to do those things, and now that I have taken over the system task, if I want to save her, then I just have a good relationship with her, so I can do things later. "Girl, come in and talk first, it's cold outside," Xu Feng said, reached out to grab her hand, and pulled it into the room. But Xu Feng quickly let go of Nizioqian's hand, because he found that her hand was as cold as ice. Nizioqian blushed, walked into the room, sniffed Kaiong's nose. "Is there anyone else in the room?" Only then did Xu Feng think of Ning Kaichen who had been knocked out by him, and secretly cried out, but it's a pity that Nizioqian had already seen Ning Kaichen who had passed out on the ground. She suddenly covered her mouth with a coquettish smile, staring at Xu Feng ambiguously. Xu Feng was a little hairy from being stared at by her, and stammered, "Girl, what are you laughing at?" Nizioqian smiled coquettishly, "My lord, no wonder you were indifferent to others last night. It turns out that you have a habit of Long Yang, my lord. Long Yang's obsession." Xu Feng reacted immediately, "Good guy, emotional Nizioqian thinks she is gay. Girl, this is really a misunderstanding. It's definitely not what you think." "Well, I know, Nizioqian flicked her gauze sleeves, "By the way, young master, I don't know your name yet." Xu Feng felt that even if he jumped into the Yellow River, he would not be able to clean himself up, so he had no choice but to say, "My name is Xu Feng. My name is Nizioqian." Then the two were silent for a while. Xu Feng scratched his head, thinking whether he should tell Nizioqian directly that he knew she was a ghost and was going to save her. But then he shook his head again, feeling that the time was not yet ripe, and he suddenly remembered something. With a thought, a painting appeared in his hands. It was the portrait of Nizioqian that he bought from an art stall in the city a few days ago. Handing the portrait to Nizioqian, Nizioqian took it curiously and said, "What is this?" She slowly opened the scroll, and as the frame unfolded, a beautiful woman in gauze was slowly revealed in the painting. "Miss Nizioqian, I saw this in the city a few days ago, and now I suddenly remembered that the person in the painting is very similar to you." Chapter 88. You are a good ghost. Nizioqian looked at the painting, stroked the picture, and tears suddenly appeared in her eyes. "The person in the painting is indeed me. My father asked someone to draw this painting for me a year ago, but unfortunately they were killed by robbers." Xu Feng comforted, "Miss Nizioqian, don't be too sad." Looking at the dignified and tranquil woman in the painting, Nizioqian was in a trance for a while, remembering that she used to be a lady from a famous family, but now she is reduced to seduce men with her beauty every night, worse than the women in the world. After a long time, she put away the painting, rolled it up, and handed it to Xu Feng. Mr. Xu, I will give this painting to you. It is useless for me to hold it. This. Xu Feng said hesitantly, Miss Xiaoqian, didn't you say that your father asked someone to draw it for you back then? Don't you need to keep it as a souvenir? A trace of pain flashed in Nai Xiaoqian's beautiful eyes. No need, I am no longer the original me, and seeing it will only make me feel more uncomfortable. Then, well, I'll keep it for the girl temporarily. Xu Feng put away the painting, looked at Nai Xiaoqian. Miss Xiaoqian, you're not human, right? Nai Xiaoqian smiled miserably, a smile that could make everyone who saw her sad. I am indeed not a human, I am a ghost. She stared at Xu Feng with beautiful eyes, and opened her mouth lightly. Master Xu, so you already know that I am a ghost, aren't you afraid of me? Not afraid. Xu Feng shook his head. Nai Xiaoqian asked curiously, why? Ghosts can be divided into good and bad. I believe that not all ghosts can harm people. Xu Feng said, looking into Nai Xiaoqian's beautiful eyes, and I believe that you, Miss Xiaoqian, should be a good ghost. Nai Xiaoqian shook her head in pain, but people say that ghosts are born to harm people. People and ghosts have different ways, and I am not a good ghost. I have harmed many people. No, nothing is inherently evil. Even ghosts, there are bound to be kind ghosts. Many people in the world do all kinds of bad things. People's hearts are sometimes scarier than ghosts. Xu Feng said while holding Nai Xiaoqian's hand, staring into her eyes and said affectionately, Miss Xiaoqian, I know that you are forced to harm others. Looking at Xu Feng's trusting eyes, Nai Xiaoqian felt an emotion that she had never felt before. She looked at him obsessively, with a bewitching expression, and said softly, how do you know? It must be like this. Xu Feng thought, because I am familiar with the plot. Just as the eyes of the two met and sparks were sparked, there was a sudden sound of footsteps on the stairs. Startled, Nai Xiaoqian broke free from Xu Feng's hand and said in a panic, the bearded man is here, and I have to go. She gave Xu Feng a gentle look for the last time, then suddenly stood on tiptoe without warning, and kissed Xu Feng's cheek. Mr. Don't come here again. As he spoke, he turned around, broke open the window, and his figure disappeared into the night. Xu Feng was still reminiscing about her kiss, like a superficial touch, seemingly nothing, and it was heart-stirring. The door of the room was suddenly violently kicked open, and Yan Xixia's loud voice came, Brother Xu, are you okay? Xu Feng came back to his senses, saw Yan Xixia, and said with a smile, Hero Yan, I'm fine. Really? Then how did I hear who you were talking to? He moved his body as he spoke, and searched the room quickly, but found nothing. Hero Yan, you must have heard it wrong. Xu Feng said with a guilty conscience. Impossible, I heard a woman's voice. Yan Xixia came to Xu Feng, leaned close to Xu Feng's face, stared at him and said, Boy, you know what I said in Lanruo Temple is more terrifying than wild wolves. What is it? Yes, what is it? Xu Feng pretended to be stupid. It's a ghost. Yan Xixia stared, I heard Brother Xiaohao's screams just now, but when I rushed over, he had already been murdered. Alice. Ghost, ghost? Xu Feng pretended to be surprised. Hero Yan, do you have a way to deal with ghosts? Yan Xixia shook her head, those little ghosts are nothing to be afraid of, but behind them is a 1,000-year-old tree demon, and I'm not sure I can defeat it. As he spoke, he saw Ning Kachin on the ground, and frowned, where did this scholar come from? Oh, Hero Yan, he showed up right after you left, and he came here to stay. Everyone really doesn't know how to live or die. What kind of place is this place? They are queuing up to deliver rations to that monster. Yan Xixia had a look of resentment. Tomorrow morning, you and that scholar, hurry up. Get out of here, that tree demon has become more and more rampant recently, and has already disregarded my agreement with it. Yes, yes. Xu Feng thought to himself, I will definitely send Ning Kachin away early tomorrow morning, and as for myself, I will definitely come back again. Yan Xixia snorted, turned and went downstairs. Xu Feng breathed a sigh of relief, stepped forward and closed the door, then closed the window, and fell asleep. The next day, early in the morning, Ning Kachin woke up from the coma, touched his still aching neck, and murmured, It's so strange, why did my neck get stiff when I slept last night? Xu Feng also woke up, stretched himself, and greeted Ning Kachin, Brother Ning, did you sleep well last night? Ning Kachin put down his hand touching his neck, and said with a smile, It's pretty good. I haven't had a dream all night. Xu Feng took out some food, ate briefly with Ningqichen, and then said, "It's not suitable to stay here for a long time. Let's leave as soon as possible." Ningqichen naturally had no objection. He had never seen Xiaoqian from the beginning to the end, so naturally he would not have any nostalgia for this place. The two left Lanruo Temple and went to Guobi County. Xu Feng was afraid that Ningqichen would do something wrong again, so he sent him to the stone monument outside the city. Ningqichen was so moved that he cupped his hands and said, "Brother Xu, we must say goodbye after sending you off for thousands of miles. Let's say goodbye to you and me. We will meet later." "No, it's best not to see you again," Xu Feng said and waved his hands. Ningqichen didn't know what Xu Feng meant, so he waved his hand, then turned and left. Xu Feng kept watching Ningqichen's back disappear, and he was still worried, so he waited at the stele for more than 3 hours, making sure that Ningqichen did not return before returning to Guobi County. Ningqichen probably won't come back again, so we will start saving Xiaoqian next, Xu Feng muttered, thinking about how to completely kill the 1,000-year-old tree demon. Tree demon, even if you become a demon, your body should still be a tree, otherwise you wouldn't have to stay in Lanruo Temple all the time. Xu Feng thought, the best way to deal with trees is fire attack. If it is fire attack, he already had an idea in mind, so he bought a lot of kerosene in Guobi County. Thank you Mingayudisk Blood, God who loves to sleep, and the bookworm who has been sealed for thousands of years, for the rewards of Do Not Disturb in the book, Guyuzeo Pavilion, and Sword Key across 9 light years. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. This kerosene was actually unrefined oil, and Xu Feng swept away all the kerosene that could be bought in the county. But soon he found that the portable space was not enough. The gold he took from the Jianghu painting last time was still stored in the portable space, so there was not much space left. I have no choice but to buy a little more portable space. Xu Feng opened the system in his mind, first checked the remaining system currency, and saw 4,912 displayed in the system currency column, then went to the system wall and spent 2,000 system currency to buy a cubic meter of space. After the purchase, there are only 2,912 system coins left, and the portable space shows that there are 2 cubic meters. After packing up the kerosene, it was already dark, and Xu Feng went out of the city towards Lanruo Temple. When passing through the woods, the sound of howling wolves sounded again. But for these wild wolves, Xu Feng had no fear at all, and kept walking. On a tree behind her, Xiaoqian was hugging a branch, learning how to howl like a wolf. On a tree next to her, all the wolves had been killed and hung on the tree. She learned how to howl for a while, and found that Xu Feng had no feeling of fear at all, as if she hadn't heard it, and thought to herself, could it be that I didn't learn it well? Finally, he couldn't help but flew down from the tree and landed in front of Xu Feng, who was walking. Xu Feng was startled, and was about to defend himself. When he found out that it was Xiaoqian, he smiled and said, "Okay, so it's Miss Xiaoqian, you're pretending to be a wolf to scare people." A shyness flashed across Xiaoqian's face. "Mr. Xu, why are you back again? Didn't I tell you not to come to Lanruo Temple again? I have to come back because I want to save you." Xu Feng looked at her and said firmly, "Save me." Xiaoqian was taken aback, shaking her head in panic. "No, Mr. Xu, you can go. You can't save me." "No, I know Miss Xiaoqian that you were coerced. I must take you out of Lanruo Temple." Xiaoqian looked at him gratefully, her eyes were full of tenderness, and said softly, "Mr. Xu, thank you for being kind to Xiaoqian, but Grandma has profound skills and has thousands of years of Taoism. You, an ordinary person, are definitely not her opponent. It will only cost you your life in vain. Xiaoqian, you don't have to worry about me." Xu Feng smiled easily. "I won't act alone, I will persuade Yandaxia to act, and I am not an ordinary person." Seeing that she couldn't convince him, Xiaoqian had no choice but to walk with him in silence. Her heart was tossed and turned, and she secretly made up her mind to protect Xu Feng's safety even if she was lost in spirit. She walked quickly to Lanruo Temple, where Yan Qixiu was staying, and Niziokian was obviously inconvenient to go in. She looked at Xu Feng and said, Master Xu, I'm leaving first, you must not act rashly. Don't worry, Niziokian, you have to be careful yourself. After parting with Niziokian, Xu Feng walked up the steps of Lanruo Temple, only to see Yan Qiqi drinking wine alone, dancing swords alone in the square, and singing Taoist songs. Deo 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 off deo deo d deo deo s did s who s but deo but the deo that s law, those s deo s, comma, but to the deo those, but the way to the way, but the way to the way, but the way to the way to. The underworld and the white way, the zodiac and the equator, the evil way and the right way, the outsider way, blah blah blah, nonsense. Flower and tea ceremony, ha, yang deo, ha, he, I ask for my own way, I ask for my own way. It sang a Taoist song, accompanied by a sword dance, stirred up the fallen leaves on the ground, and flew all over the sky. The scene was actually a bit romantic. After the singing was over, he turned over and fell in front of Xu Feng, pointed his sword at him, squinted and said, Why are you here again? Are you addicted? Xu Feng hurriedly said, No, Senior, I know that you and the monsters here are no longer compatible, and I'm here to help you. You are a scholar with no strength to restrain a chicken. Yan Qiqi put away her long sword. You are clearly here to make trouble for me. Absolutely not, Senior, why don't you listen to my plan first? Then the two came to the main hall. It turned out that Yan Qiqi killed Xiaohao because of the Millennium Tree Demon. She deeply felt that it had broken the original agreement not to kill good people, and she had already torn face with it. Xu Feng discussed in detail with Yan Qiqi the method of destroying the tree demon. Yan Qiqi's eyes lit up when she heard his fire attack method, so the two agreed to wait until dawn to find the tree demon's body. Give it a drudgery. After the discussion was over, Xu Feng went back to the room upstairs to rest, but he had just stayed in the room for a while when he suddenly heard a sound of friction. The sound made one's scalp tingle. Xu Feng thought to himself, could it be that the mummy in the room came out? In the movie, the room where Ning Kaichen stayed, on the upper floor, were all mummies whose blood had been sucked dry by the dryad. These mummies would also come back to life when they encountered the breath of living people. However, the threat from these mummies was very small. Xu Feng thought he had bought a lot of talismans that he hadn't used yet. Although the power of the talismans was small, they were enough to deal with these mummies. But he looked up for a while, but found no sign of the mummy. I glanced out of the corner of my eye, but saw a disgusting tongue slid past a window. Xu Feng was shocked. Seeing this tongue, he knew that the 1,000-year-old tree demon was on the move. He was about to go out to find Yan Qiqi for help, but when he opened the door, he saw that the door was completely blocked by the tree demon's tongue. Oops, this is over. Why did the dryad suddenly appear? Xu Feng closed the door, took out the talisman bought in Guobri County from the portable space, and pasted all around the door, but he knew that this would only block it for a while. Just when he was at his wit's end, suddenly there was an ethereal kin sound from afar. He was very familiar with the sound. It was Xiaoqian's kin sound. It's Xiaoqian. Why is she playing the piano at this time? Is she warning me? With a thought, Xu Feng opened the window on one side of the room, and sure enough, he saw a hut in the distant woods with bright lights. It doesn't matter, Yan Qiqi didn't know where she went, but she didn't see anyone else when the tree demon appeared, so she had to trust Xiaoqian once. At this time, the tree demon came to the window with a tongue. Xu Feng took out a long quan sword, cut off its tongue with one sword, jumped down, and ran towards the hut in the forest. Xu Feng's skill is in the late stage of the day after tomorrow, and he runs very fast with all his strength, and he arrives in front of the hut in a blink of an eye. As soon as he arrived, Xiaoqian opened the door of the room, grabbed him, and said anxiously, "Come in." "Xiaoqian, what's going on? I seemed to see Grandma just now." Xu Feng asked. "You have been here for the third day, and Grandma has discovered you. Tonight, it will do it by itself. After I find out, I will play the piano, hoping to attract you here." So that's the case. This tree demon is really cunning. The hut was obviously Xiaoqian's boudoir. There was a tub in the room, and a white gauze was hanging beside the tub. When Xu Feng was looking at it, Two figures suddenly appeared outside the door. When Niziokian saw it, she was taken aback, and said, "Grandma is coming, quickly hide." Chapter 90 Bathtub. Niziokian dragged Xu Feng around the room, and found that only the bathtub could hide people, so she hurriedly said, "Go and hide in the water, Grandma has a very good nose, don't stick your head out." Knowing the urgency of the situation, Xu Feng entered the tub without hesitation, and Niziokian sat down beside the bathtub, took out a comb and combed her hair. The door was opened, and there was a beautiful woman in purple clothes with hair pinned up, followed by two maidservants. She saw Niziokian, bowed and said, "Sister." Niziokian said calmly, "Zhaoqing, I know Grandma is getting impatient, so I'll get dressed and go out right away." But suddenly, the door on the other side of the room was knocked open, and a man dressed in a gorgeous black dress rushed in. As soon as he appeared, he slapped Niziokian, who was sitting. There was a crisp sound of pop. What? Niziokian screamed and was beaten and fell to the ground. "Bitch! How dare you spoil my good deeds?" The voice was still a female voice for the first half of the sentence, and then turned into a male voice for the second half. Extremely weird. "Grandma, what are you talking about? I don't have one," Niziokian said pitifully, covering her face that had been beaten. "You still dare to quibble?" The grandma in black stepped forward and grabbed Niziokian's hair. "That scholar, he has lived in Lanruo Temple for 3 days, why haven't you brought him to me to eat tonight?" "I did it myself, but you used the sound of the piano to warn him to escape." Niziokian lowered her head and said, "I haven't." "Damn bitch, I'm going to teach you a lesson. Have you forgotten how I tortured you?" As the tree demon said, a whip appeared in his hand. As soon as he flicked the whip, he greeted Niziokian. The sound of whips tearing flesh was heard in the room, interspersed with Ziokian's heart-piercing screams. Zhaoqing was on the side, but covered her mouth and laughed. She had always been secretly jealous of her grandma's doting on Ziokian, but seeing Ziokian being punished now, she naturally had a gloating expression on her face. Xu Feng held his breath and hid under the water. Hearing Niziokian's screams in his ears, his heart felt like a knife was piercing his heart, but he knew that he was no match for the tree demon. If he went out at this moment, it would only be a dead end. The tree demon beat Ziokian, cursing, "Damn bitch, you asked for this, if you dare not listen to me again, I will destroy your golden pagoda, and you will never be reborn forever." He didn't shake off the whip in his hand until Niziokian was covered in bruises. "I'll let you off this time, but before dawn, you must find someone alive to replenish my strength," he said, turning to Zhaoqing, who was beside him. "Zhaoqing, take medicine for your sister's wound." After a while, Zhaoqing brought a plate of golden medicine, helped Niziokian, and rubbed her wound reluctantly. Niziokian gritted her teeth to endure the pain, and looked at the tub from time to time. She was afraid for so long that the water Xu Feng can't hold on for long. After applying the sore medicine, Niziokian got up and staggered towards the tub. The voice of the tree demon sounded, "Ziokian, I have betrothed you to Master Hishin, and you will pass through the door after 3 days. He is not easy to mess with. If you get angry, I am not his opponent. After you follow him, don't even think about coming back." At this time, Xu Feng had been suffocating in the tub for almost a quarter of an hour. Even though he had a strong skill, he still felt that he couldn't hold on, and he cursed in his heart why the damn tree demon still didn't leave. The voice of the tree demon came again, "Ziokian, come here, come and try on this dress, it was what you wore when you got married." In the bathtub, Xu Feng accidentally spit out more bubble, and Zhaoqing found something unusual on the side, and was about to step forward to check. Niziokian took the opportunity to pull Zhaoqing's hand and said, "Zhaoqing, come over and take a look for me." When they came to the middle of the room, the two maids took a beautifully crafted wedding dress and changed it for Ziokian. After putting on the wedding dress, Ziokian looked even more radiant and unparalleled. In the bathtub, Xu Feng finally couldn't hold on anymore, stuck his mouth out of the water, and secretly took a breath. The dryad sniffed it, and immediately noticed the abnormality. "It seems to have some kind of smell? It seems to be the smell of a living person." Ziokian was shocked when she heard the words. She was quick to think. She pulled her wedding dress with her little hand, and said with a hiss, "Ah, my dress is torn. Why so careless?" The tree demon's attention was successfully diverted. But Zhaoqing became more and more suspicious. She felt that there must be something abnormal in the bucket, so she made an excuse, "My hands are dirty, go wash them." As he said that, He walked towards the bathtub. Niziokian ran to the tub first, picked up the gauze on the shelf beside it and spread it on the water, scooped up a ladle of water from the tub, and said, "Zhaoqing, let me help you." "No need," Zhaoqing said, and was about to come up and take off the white gauze. Niziokian poured a ladle of water all over Zhaoqing's body, stopping her in her footsteps. Zhaoqing said angrily, "Why are you throwing at me?" Niziokian blinked her innocent eyes. "I was not careful." The tree demon heard the dispute between the two of them, and said, "Zhaoqing, don't keep making trouble with your sister." Zhaoqing said angrily, "No." As he said that, he wanted to step forward and try to lift the white veil again. Niziokian scooped up another ladle of water and splashed it all over her. "Ah!" Zhaoqing exclaimed, already turned into drowned chicken, "You did it on purpose. I won't wash it." She turned angrily and walked away. The tree demon looked at Niziokian and said, "Ziokian, take off your clothes and mend them for you." Niziokian let out an "oh," and took off her wedding dress behind her back. But she forgot that in the bucket in front of her, Xu Feng was seeing everything clearly. He looked at what suddenly appeared in front of him. A breath was unsteady, and several bubbles appeared on the water surface one after another. Niziokian was shocked, thinking that Xu Feng was about to lose her breath again. She gritted her teeth and leaned down. Facing the sudden arrival, Xu Feng's mind was completely confused, but he also felt icy cold. After Ziokian fucked him, she took the initiative and gave him a big breath. Seeing Ziokian's actions, the tree demon asked in confusion, "Ziokian, what are you doing?" After Niziokian passed her breath, she straightened up, put on her clothes and turned around. "I'm getting ready to take a bath, hurrying to go out. It's almost dawn. If I don't go out, it's too late to find a job for you, Grandma." The tree demon giggled, raised his orchid fingers, and said to Zhaoqing, who was standing beside him, "Zhaoqing, look how good your sister is. You have to learn from it." After saying that, he took Zhaoqing and two maidservants and left. Seeing them walking away, Niziokian quickly turned around and pulled Xu Feng from the water. But Xu Feng knew the plot, and knew that the cheating Zhaoqing would return again, so he made a gesture and dived into the water again. Seeing his gesture, Niziokian turned around and saw another figure appeared outside the door. She was shocked, knowing that Zhaoqing would not let it go. She gritted her teeth and changed the clothes on her body, and stepped into the bathtub. Xu Feng in the bathtub can only feel that. The door opened, and Zhaoqing really walked in again. Niziokian flicked the water, pretending to be calm, and said, "Why are you so impatient? I will pass through the door in 3 days. This room will be yours sooner or later." Zhaoqing pursed her lips, glanced at Niziokian, stepped forward to pick up the Falun Jinshuang medicine tray, turned and left. Niziokian breathed a sigh of relief when she was sure that she had really gone away, and turned her head, only to find that Xu Feng was staring at her with wide-open eyes. She blushed, quickly covered it with her hands, and said angrily, "What are you looking at?" Xu Feng smiled awkwardly, opened his eyes and said, "Nonsense, I didn't see anything." Niziokian shyly said, "Then why don't you get up quickly?" Xu Feng looked down. Niziokian, Yao's eyes hurt, so he could only say, "Ziokian, if you don't get up, why should I get up? Ask for a reward, ask for some support." Chapter 91. Niziokian's face turned red again. She turned over, grabbed the clothes beside her with her hands, and spun gracefully, and when she landed, she was already dressed. Xu Feng also got up from the bathtub. His clothes were all soaked. "Ziokian, your grandma betrothed you to Montenegro. It's not safe here, let's talk at the kiosk." Niziokian interrupted him, pulled him out of the house, and headed for the kiosk by the lake. In the small pavilion, Ziokian leaned against the corner pillar with a lonely face. "You heard it too, I've already been betrothed to Master Hishin, and I'm going to pass the door in 3 days." Ziokian said sadly. Xu Feng took a step forward and said, "Ziokian, I know you were forced. Don't worry, I will never let you marry the Montenegro old demon." Ziokian looked sad, and shook her head in pain. "Let's go, you don't care about me. Master Hishin is stronger than Grandma, you can't deal with just a Grandma, plus Master Hishin, you have no chance of winning of." "Ziokian, I won't leave, I must save you." Xu Feng thought to himself, even if it wasn't for completing the task, as a man, he couldn't let you fall into the hands of the old demon of Montenegro. Ziokian turned around and gave him a painful look. With tears glistening in her eyes, she suddenly yelled, "Go away, Isn't it bad enough that you have hurt me?" As she spoke, she suddenly turned her back to Xu Feng, took off her clothes, and saw bloody wounds all over her back. Looking at these dense welts, Xu Feng's heart twitched. Xiaoqian was beaten by the tree demon for herself. He walked forward slowly, gently stroking the scars. "Xiaoqian, just wait for my actual action." Xiaoqian turned around and looked at him pitifully, with a look of pity. "Why do you keep pestering me? I've already been betrothed to someone else, and I've accepted my fate." "But I didn't accept my fate." Xu Feng was also angered by her. "Xiaoqian, fate is nothingness. I never believed in its existence. I believe that man can conquer nature." Xiaoqian stared at him blankly, with a line of tears in her eyes. She was moved by Xu Feng's persistence and true feelings, and the defense line in her heart was also broken a little bit. Her pretended strength turned into tears and disappeared. At this time, the sky suddenly began to rain. The rain was very fast. The curtains in the pavilion fluttered with the wind. The pavilion was in disrepair for a long time, and rain leaked in many places. Xu Feng was taken aback, feeling that the rain was coming for no reason, and he didn't have an umbrella by his side, so he had to turn up the hem of his clothes, stepped forward to protect Xiaoqian from the rain, looked at her and said gently, "Xiaoqian, since ancient times, evil cannot prevail against good, don't worry about it." Xiaoqian looked at him affectionately with her beautiful eyes, and suddenly lay down in his arms, gently resting her head on his chest, took his hand and placed it on her chest. "Mr. Su, don't say these things now. If I am destined not to escape, I hope there will be no regrets." Xu Feng was stunned. He only felt a wonderful touch coming from his hand, as if in a dream. In the movie, this is the treatment only Ning Kaichen has. Could it be that he has become Xiaoqian's lover without knowing it? "Sweetheart?" Xiaoqian picked up Xu Feng's face and kissed it lightly. The beauties are so proactive. Xu Feng can no longer keep calm. He recalled the scenes of getting along with Xiaoqian in just 3 days. When he first arrived at the ancient temple, he was amazed by her beauty, and her innocence when she pretended to be a wolf cute. She tried to hide her screams when she was beaten by her grandma, all of which came to mind. He enthusiastically responded to her kiss, unknowingly untied her veil, hugged her and fell to the ground. The white veil spread out, staining the night. The sound of the rain outside the pavilion became more urgent, and it was beating on the eaves of the small pavilion. The wind and rain were fierce, but they couldn't hide the heat inside the pavilion. After some cloud and rain, we went to washing together. When the rain stopped 10 minutes later, Xiaoqian put her straight jade legs on Xu Feng's body, buried her head on his chest, and played with her hair with her little hands. The lake was calm, reflecting the lights and beautiful women in the pavilion. "Mr. Su, if you really want to save Xiaoqian, dig out my ashes and send them to a family in the countryside before dusk the day after tomorrow, so I can be reincarnated." Xu Feng put his arms around her, smelling the faint fragrance of her body, reluctantly but firmly said, "Okay, tomorrow morning, I will act." Xiaoqian looked up at him, smiling but her eyes were full of tears. "If I hadn't been killed by a traitor, I would still be your lady of the official family. Mr. Su, I will definitely marry you." Xu Feng stroked her hair distressedly, and his heart was full of sentimentality. He was about to say something when he suddenly heard the sound of quick footsteps on the trestle leading to the small pavilion, accompanied by Yan Qixi's shout, "Hey, you female ghost! How dare you attack Brother Su? I'm going to kill you." Xu Feng was taken aback, got up quickly, and said to Xiaoqian, "Xiaoqian, hurry up, I'll explain to Hero Yan." Xiaoqian also stood up in a panic, and she glanced anxiously at Xu Feng. "Be careful yourself." Then with a movement of his body, he broke the flying white gauze and disappeared into the small pavilion. Yan Qixia stepped in, saw Xiaoqian's leaving back, and was about to follow up and fight. Xu Feng hugged him and said, "Hero Yan, don't kill her, Xiaoqian is a good ghost." Yan Qixia was taken aback, and he stared into eyes the size of copper bells. "Brother Su, I think you are obsessed with ghosts. People and ghosts have different paths. Let me go. I'm going to kill her." "No, Master Yan, sit down and listen to me." Xu Feng pulled Yan Qixia with difficulty, pushed him to sit down, and then patiently told him Xiaoqian's tragic life experience, and how she was forced by the tree demon to live a life that would be worse than death every day. After listening to his narration, Yan Qixia said, "Listen to you, that Xiaoqian is really a good ghost." Xu Feng nodded affirmatively, The tree demon betrothed her to the Hetian old demon in the underworld. After 3 days, she will pass the door. Hero Yan, we must save Xiaoqian. Yan Chiksha shook her head. No, people live in this world, ghosts have their own world, and ghosts and spirits, as human beings, we don't have to worry too much. Xu Feng didn't expect Yan Chiksha to say this. He said angrily, what kind of people have a share? Why don't you care if you have the ability? Why don't we help her if we can help her? If we don't save her, no one can help her. Save her. Yan Chiksha looked at him, hugged him suddenly, and cried, you bastard. Why do you always have so many shitty and unrealistic ideals, and always meddle so much? You and I are young, the times are too similar. Too similar. As he spoke, he let go of Xu Feng, raised his sleeves to wipe away his tears, and cursed, bastard. I was moved by you. Xu Feng said in surprise, so you agreed to help Xiaoqian, Lord Yan. Yan Chiksha stood up and drew out her long sword. Help. Living here in Lanruo Temple, I have indeed lost the vigor of the past. Thank you, Brother Xu, let us fight the tree demon together. A big stone fell to Xu Feng's heart, and he asked curiously, Hero Yan, are you sure about dealing with that 1,000-year-old tree demon? Not sure. What? However, I believe that evil cannot prevail over good, so let's go, ideal youth. Thank you Li Nala, Lao Higui, and Yippin Pineapple for your tip. In addition, I would also like to thank the Buck Friends Love Xiao and Xiaoga in the Buck City. If you want to ask me to bow your head, then you kneel down. Zhongzhen, Yijian Guanghan Yao Qiushu, and Yan Yu Wuming's rewards. Your support gives me the motivation to code every day, thank you. Chapter 92 Warrior Tree Demon. When the two returned to Lanruo Temple, it was already midnight. Yang Chiksha took out a bell from her bosom and handed it to Xu Feng. Hold this bell. If you meet a tree demon, you can shake it. I will come out to save you when I hear it. Xu Feng picked it up curiously, and saw that the bell was plain and unpretentious. Hero Yan, is your hearing so good? Yan Chiksha scolded, silly boy, it is a magic weapon, no matter how far away it is, I can still hear it if you shake it. As he said that, he took out another old scripture book from his pocket and handed it to Xu Feng. You also take this Diamond Sutra, and you should read the scriptures above when you encounter monsters. It should be helpful. When Xu Feng saw the Diamond Sutra, his eyes lit up. This scripture is a real magical weapon, and it will depend on it to kill the old Black Mountain demon in the end. After receiving the scriptures and opening them, he was confused by the crooked letters. What are these? Hero Yan, what's the text on it? Sanskrit. Sanskrit. Xu Feng was completely at a loss. Then, Hero Yan, do you know Sanskrit? I don't know. Yan Chiksha said as a matter of course, I only know the first sentence, prana, bo, ruo, re, paramita. Prajna paramita. Xu Feng read along. Yan Chiksha said, okay, besides, I have always believed that there is a Buddha in a calm mind, remember that. Then he opened the door and left. Xu Feng was about to go to bed with a bell in one hand and the Diamond Sutra in the other. Oh, I see. Sitting on the bed, Xu Feng knew that as long as he survived the last night, he could dig up Xiaoqian's ashes at dawn. But he knew that the Dryad had discovered his existence, and was likely to attack him again. He leaned on the bed, not daring to really fall asleep. His nerves were always in high tension, and he was always paying attention to the wind and grass outside. At this moment, a knock on the door suddenly sounded in the room. Xu Feng stood up in shock and shouted, who is it? Nai Xiaoqian's figure appeared in the room. Xu Feng stood up and said, Xiaoqian. Mr. Xu, hurry up, Grandma is coming to eat you soon. As he spoke, he wanted to come up to pull Xu Feng, but as soon as she approached, the Diamond Sutra automatically released a burst of golden light and bounced her away. Nai Xiaoqian fell to the ground and let out a scream. Xu Feng quickly stuffed the Diamond Sutra into his arms, stepped forward to help her up and said, Grandma is really coming. Yes, let's go, it's going to be too late. As Nai Xiaoqian said, she pulled Xu Feng and ran towards the door, but when she opened the door, she found that the door was firmly blocked by the tree demon's tongue. Seeing this, Xu Feng frantically shook the bell in his hand. At this time in the main hall of Lanruo Temple, Yang Chiksha had already fallen into a bitter battle with the tree demon. He heard the sound of the bell, but he was also at a loss. After shaking for a while, Yang Chiksha was nowhere to be seen. Xu Feng had no choice but to curse inwardly. The tree demon's tongue had already come in, entangled towards them. Seeing this, Ni Xiaoqian instinctively pulled Xu Feng behind her. She threw out her long sleeves and wrapped them around the tree demon's tongue. But she was no match for the dryad at all. The dryad swung her tongue and sent her flying. I'm not one to hide behind women. Xu Feng took out a long Quan sword from his portable space, and exerted his whole body's power to the extreme. With one foot kicked on the ground, he kicked out a big hole in the floor long sword. The dryad's tongue was extremely flexible, but Xu Feng's body speed was also unpredictable. The long Quan sword was made by the master swordsmith Huo Yizi. It was extremely sharp, and several sections of the dryad's tongue were quickly cut off. Suddenly a male and female voice came from outside the room. Damn bitch, and you damn scholar, I'm going to kill you. The tongues in the house suddenly increased, and the roof of the whole house was directly overturned. Facing countless tentacle-like disgusting tongues, although Xu Feng was very fast and constantly causing damage to the tree demon, he was gradually surrounded by tongues, and it seemed impossible to escape. Ni Xiaoqian, who was lying on the ground beside her, was still shocked by Xu Feng's skill. She always thought that Xu Feng was a weak scholar. Seeing that Xu Feng was surrounded by Grandma's tongue, she threw out the shuian sleeve, and the sleeve passed through the gap of the tongue and wrapped around Xu Feng's waist inside. With a pull of the water sleeve, Xu Feng was embarrassingly stolen from the tree demon's mouth. The tree demon roared furiously, "Damn bitch, you bitch who crawls around, I'm going to kill you." Ni Xiaoqian hugged Xu Feng's waist and said, "Let's go." She got up, flew up with Xu Feng, and headed towards the square of Lanruo Temple, and the tree demon's tongue followed them firmly. When they arrived at the square, the tree demon's tongue had already caught up with him, and with a single blow, Xiaoqian and Xu Feng were knocked down to the ground. When Xu Feng was hit by the tree demon, blood surged in his chest, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The dryad's tongue didn't stop, and was about to take advantage of the victory to pursue. Yang Qiqia suddenly rushed out from the hall. Behind him were some strangely shaped branches, which were exactly the dryad's body. He threw the long sword in his hand, and the sword accurately hit the tongue of the tree demon, nailing it to the tree beside him. Xu Feng struggled to get up, and complained, "Hero Yan, you have finally appeared. If you don't come again, I will die." Yang Qiqia turned her head and glanced at him, and said, "The tree demon is too cunning. It entangled me with its body, and attacked you with its tongue. Are you okay?" "I am fine." The 1,000-year-old tree demon's tongue broke free from the long sword, and the branches and tongue disappeared, revealing its real body. A monster dressed in gorgeous black clothes and heavy makeup. "Dead Taoist priest, we don't mess with rivers. Why do you keep fighting against me because of this scholar?" "Bah." Yang Qiqia sneered, "I don't care if you kill bad people, but look at this scholar. He is slim, handsome, full of ideals, and full of love. Of course I won't let you do it to him." Xu Feng listened from the side, and said a little embarrassedly, "Hero Yan, don't you speak too well of me. I'm a little embarrassed, haha." Yang Qiqia turned around and whispered to him, "Idiot, if I don't praise you well, how can I show my justice?" The tree demon became furious and shouted, "Then I'll kill you too." It opened its mouth wide, and the tongue in its mouth grew rapidly, entangled towards Yang Qiqia and Xu Feng. "Get out of the way." Yang Qiqia pushed Xu Feng away, her figure changed, and she took the long sword out of the tree beside her. The dryad's tongue followed closely behind him, directly piercing through the tree, and with one sweep, the tree broke. Turning over and landing on the ground, Yang Qiqia stuck the long sword in her hand on the ground, took out a talisman and pasted it on the sword, chanted the mantra Prajnaparamita, pinched the sword with both hands, and shouted, "Look at the sword." Following his gesture, the sword flew straight into the air, killing the tree demon like an arrow from the string. Seeing that it was invincible, the dryad shrank its neck and disappeared in place. The long sword only pierced through the clothes it left in place. Yang Qiqia ran up to take a look, and saw a big hole left on the ground. He bit his finger, drew a blood tai chi on his left hand with blood, and shouted, "Heaven and earth are boundless, Kyankan borrows the law." Then he kept swinging his palms, and with each palm he swung, the corresponding ground would explode, and his hands were like mobile forts firing shells. Xu Feng was dazzled while watching, thinking that this is the Taoism he wants to learn. Chapter 93. After bombing for a while, but no tree demon was found, Yang Qiqia put away her palms. Seeing this, Xu Feng stepped forward to help Ni Xiaoqian, who was on the ground, and said concernedly, "Xiaoqian, are you okay?" Ni Xiaoqian sighed and shook her head, "I'm fine." At this moment, there was a sudden sound of breaking wind from the darkness. Yan Qixia saw it from the side, and shouted, "Quickly get out of the way." Xu Feng was startled, supported Nai Xiaoqian's delicate body, kicked his feet on the ground, and quickly dodged to the side. The tree demon's tongue made a big hole in the ground, turned around, and continued to chase Xu Feng and Nai Xiaoqian. Yan Qixia flew up, stabbed her tongue with a sword, and sprayed a disgusting thick slurry all over his face. The force of her tongue was so strong that he couldn't stop it. On the other side, Xu Feng led Nai Xiaoqian to dodge. Seeing the tree demon chasing him, he pushed Nai Xiaoqian aside, then drew out the long Quan sword, and also flew up, stabbing the sword into the tree demon's tongue. The tongue of the tree demon suddenly parted, and many small tongues protruded from it, wrapped around Xu Feng, and pulled it into its mouth. Seeing this, Yan Qixia drew out her long sword, turned over in midair, and passed the sword edge with her left hand. The sword edge was all stained with his blood. His tongue fell off. The dryad let out a scream and retreated quickly, but at the same time it retreated, it stretched out a branch and tied Nai Xiaoqian, who fell to the side. Seeing this, Xu Feng wanted to step forward to rescue him, but Yan Qixia grabbed him. "Don't chase after me. The tree demon has been seriously injured by me, and it won't come out to harm people again if it doesn't cultivate for 100 years. But Xiaoqian was taken away by it. I'm worried that she's in danger." After a great battle, it was dawning. Xu Feng said to Yan Qixia, "Hero Yan, let's dig up Xiaoqian's ashes." Yan Qixia put away her long sword, glanced at him, and shook her head. "Idiot, let's go." The two tidied up and went to the back of Lanruo Temple. At this time, the sky was already bright. Walking into the back of Lanruo Temple, they saw that the hut in the forest at night and the small pavilion by the lake had completely disappeared. "There's only a mass grave overgrown with weeds in front of us." I fiddled with the weeds that blocked the way, and the solitary graves were scattered. After searching for a while, I found a tombstone that read, "Tomb of my beloved daughter Nai Xiaoqian." Found it. Xu Feng and Yan Qixia hurriedly took out their hoes and started digging. After digging through the soil, they saw that there were as many as 5 urns in the grave. "So many." Yan Qixia said worriedly, "Can you recognize which one is her?" Xu Feng shook his head, "I don't know him, just take them all away." With a single thought, the ashes of the 5 altars disappeared in place, and he collected them in his personal space. Are you a magic weapon for portable storage?" Yan Qixia asked in surprise. He saw Xu Feng silently put away the urn, and remembered the legendary storage that his master had said back then. Magical artifact, but even his master has never seen it. Ah. Haha, that's right. Xu Feng covered it up with a smile. Yan Qixia didn't want to ask too much, knowing that everyone has their own secrets. Standing up, it was clear that the sky was still sunny, but suddenly a large black cloud floated in, blocking the sun, and the wind was blowing. Yan Qixia looked up and said worriedly, "We have to leave quickly." "No way." Xu Feng held him back. "Hero Yan, let's find the monster's body and destroy it completely. We must get rid of the roots. But if we don't leave, I guess we're going to be in big trouble. Look at the weather." Of course Xu Feng also noticed. He wished to leave early, but to complete the system task, he had to kill the Millennium Dryad. "Hero Yan, the tree demon was just broken by you for 100 years. After 100 years, you and I will be gone. What if it comes out to harm people at that time?" Yan Qixia hesitated for a moment, then waved her hands and said, "Let's go." The two walked along the mass grave for a while, and found a towering tree. The tree was very thick and seemed to have been struck by lightning. At first glance, it was an old tree, and many parts of it were broken. It's dead, but there are still some young leaves on top. When an old tree sprouts new buds, there must be demons. Yan Qixia sniffed her nose. Sure enough, the demonic aura is very strong. This tree should be good. No wonder it has been absorbing the yang energy of living people. It turns out that it wants to forcibly continue. "Hero Yan, are you right in your judgment? Then let's act." Xu Feng said with a thought, and took out all the kerosene in the portable space. The two acted immediately, and one of them took a bucket of oil and began to walk around the old tree, pouring fire oil on it. The sky suddenly became darker and darker, and the wind became stronger. Xu Feng finished dumping a bucket and was about to take another bucket, but he felt an abnormal movement behind him. He turned around quickly and saw a branch growing rapidly and winding towards him. Startled, he dropped the kerosene, and dodged to one side as soon as he moved. "Hero Yan, This tree demon can still move in broad daylight. Yan Qixia was also attacked by the tree demon, and he shouted, "The tree demon must know that we are going to burn it. It is desperate. The sun has been blocked." The voice of the dryad, male and female, came out. "Yan Qixia, smelly scholar, you want me to die? Let's be buried with me together." As soon as the words fell to the ground, the branches on the old tree continued to grow and grow, and there rushed towards the two of them. Xu Feng knew that this was the last battle, so he used all his strength and potential to avoid the pursuit of the branches, and kicked barrels of kerosene onto it. While evading, Xu Feng was stabbed many times by branches, which were like sharp swords, and blood flowed profusely from Xu Feng's body. Finally pouring out all the fire oil, Xu Feng yelled at Yan Qixia, "Hero Yan, let's retreat quickly." As he said that, he ran out towards the periphery first, and the branch of the tree demon chased after him frantically, accompanied by its stern scream, "Want to run? Die for me." The branch accelerated sharply, past Xu Feng directly, wrapped him around his waist, and was about to pull him back. Yan Qixia shouted, "Prajna Paramita." He threw the long sword, the blade cut off the branch, and Xu Feng's body fell to the ground. The tree demon wanted to chase and kill again, so Yan Qixia resorted to "the world is boundless, and the universe borrows the law." A cannon blasted towards the tree demon's body, and it hit accurately. His blow directly ignited the kerosene, and the whole tree suddenly fell into a sea of flames. The scream of the tree demon sounded, and the green leaves on the top of the tree shot out to the sky at the same time. The dark clouds shook for a while, and the sky suddenly rained heavily. The torrential rain poured down, and even a forest fire would be extinguished by this level of rain. However, the fire that burned the tree demon did not decrease at all. The kerosene is unrefined crude oil, and it burns even more violently when it meets water. Dead Taoist. Ah, smelly scholar. Ah. The tree demon kept screaming, roaring and cursing, but gradually its voice became smaller and smaller, and finally became inaudible. Xu Feng and Yan Qixia supported each other, looking at the old tree slowly reduced to ashes in the sea of fire. Let's go. Lanruo Temple can be peaceful. Chapter 94, Entering the Underworld. The tree demon was completely wiped out. Xu Feng and Yan Qixia took Nizioqian's golden pagoda to the market in Guobri County first. Nizioqian was going to be reincarnated in a family in the countryside of Qingyang County. Xu Feng spent money to buy 2 horses, and then the two started to rush to Qingyang County. After running for a day, when it was getting dark, I arrived at an unnamed town. "It's getting dark, let's find an inn to stay overnight," Yan Qixia said. "It is good." The town was small, and it was dark at night, so the two came to the only inn in the town. Pushing open the door, a dim oil lamp was on inside, but no one was seen. Yan Qixia shouted loudly, "Is anyone there? Who is it?" Following the voice, a few tables later, the waiter who was sleeping on a bench yawned and got up. "Xiaoer, let's stay in the hotel." The waiter took a look at Xu Feng and the two, picked up an oil lamp on the table. "Come with me." Xu Feng looked at the inn while walking. He knew that in the movie, Ning Kaichen and Yan Qixia also stayed at the inn at night when they were rushing to Qingyang County, but they met the wedding dojo of the old Black Mountain Demon. Could this inn be that one? It shouldn't be such a coincidence. But Xu Feng still cheered up, %. When he came to the room, Xiaoer closed the door and retreated. With a thought, Xu Feng took out 5 altars of ashes from his portable space and placed them on the table in the room. "Xiaoqian, you can come out now." Xu Feng was looking forward to it, but also a little scared. He was afraid that the tree demon would hurt her after snatching Xiaoqian away last night. After waiting for a while, 4 female ghosts floated out one after another from the urn, each with loose hair and sticking out their tongues. "My lord, you called us." Xu Feng looked over one by one, and Nizioqian was not among the 4. Yan Qixia met them on the side, and shouted to them, "Take your golden pagoda and leave quickly. If I find out that you are harming others in the future, I will never forgive you." The 4 female ghosts picked up the urn on the table and said, "Thank you, benefactor." Then they all disappeared into the room. There was only the last urn left on the table. Xu Feng said worriedly, "Xiaoqian, are you in it? Come out quickly." But after waiting for a while, there was still no movement. "Oops, did you take it wrong?" Yan Qixia patted him on the shoulder. Xu Feng turned around, but saw a stunning beauty in white gauze standing by the door. "Who is it, not Xiaoqian?" Xiaoqian smiled at him, took a step forward, and saluted Yan Qixia and him. "Thank you, hero young master, For saving your life? Yan Qixia still put on his cold expression. After all, letting him accept a ghost's gratitude, this has never happened before. Xu Feng stepped forward to help Xiaoqian, hugged her lightly and said, "Okay, we are all on our own, Xiaoqian, you don't have to be polite." Yan Qixia looked at the two of them, thinking of Xu Feng's efforts to finally save Xiaoqian. His eyes were a little moist again. He turned his head away quickly, and said in disguise, "Okay, you two, catch up on the old days, I'll go out first." He opened the door and walked out, shaking his head when he closed the door. Seeing Yan Qixia's leaving back, Xiaoqian let out a coquettish smile, leaned gently in Xu Feng's arms and said, "The Taoist priest is still very good. Yet, he's just a knife-mouthed bean-curd heart, haha." Xu Feng put his arms around Xiaoqian, feeling her soft body and her fragrance, thinking that he would be separated from her forever at dawn. His heart was full of reluctance. The two hugged each other tightly. Neither spoke, but they could feel each other's heart. After a long time, Xiaoqian's voice sounded, "Mr. Xu, do you still keep that painting?" And Xu Feng took out Xiaoqian's portrait from the portable space. Xiaoqian unfolded the painting on the table, then picked up the inkstone, picked up the brush and wrote on the drawing paper, "May I be like a star king like a moon, and the night will be bright and clean." The font is beautiful and pleasing to the eye. Xiaoqian wrote this poem, clearly expressing her feelings for Xu Feng. After finishing writing, she raised her head, smiled shyly at Xu Feng, and handed him the pen. Xu Feng took it in a daze, but he didn't start writing for a long time. He thought that his handwriting was too bad. If he wrote something on the painting, wouldn't it ruin the painting? At this moment, the door was suddenly pushed open, and Yan Qixia shouted, "Brother Xu, hurry up and pack up your things and leave. The old demon is here to snatch the kiss." Snatching a relative. Xu Feng knew something was wrong. He quickly put down his pen, and then put the painting in Xiaoqian's golden pagoda into his portable space. "Xiaoqian, let's go quickly." Pulling Xiaoqian and following Yan Qixia to the outside of the inn, they saw fallen leaves blown by the wind on the streets of the town, and there seemed to be an army approaching at the end of the road. The two got on their horses, and Yan Qixia said to him, "These are the underworld's dark soldiers, and the old demon actually sent them to the human world. You must follow me closely later, and we will rush out together." Xu Feng and Xiaoqian rode together, and replied, "Okay." Yan Qixia took the lead and rushed towards those troops, but as soon as the two sides approached, those yin soldiers passed through his body, continued to advance without hindrance, and charged towards Xu Feng. Xu Feng followed closely behind Yan Qixia. When he encountered them at this moment, he felt a biting cold wind blowing through his whole body, and then he became so stiff that he couldn't move. "What?" Xiaoqian exclaimed, and those yin soldiers directly took her from Xu Feng's arms. Yan Qixia turned the horse's head in the front. Seeing this, he quickly took out a big bow from his back, and took out 5 arrows from the quiver at once. Each arrow had a spell drawn with cinnabar. Prajnaparamita. As the arrows left the string, each talisman arrow shot out several yin soldiers, and their bodies disappeared without a trace. But those yin soldiers who were holding Xiaoqian suddenly rushed forward and disappeared. The entire yin army also disappeared. Xu Feng just recovered from the stiff state at this moment. He saw Xiaoqian disappear with his own eyes, so he rode forward and said to Yan Qixia, "Where did they catch Xiaoqian?" Yan Qixia jumped off the horse and drew out her long sword. It should be that old black mountain demon who forcibly broke through the yin-yang boundary wall and asked his men to come down to snatch her. "We can only go to the underworld to save her." As he spoke, he pinched the sword formula with his hands, channeled all his mana, and slashed with his sword. Xu Feng only felt a shock in the space in front of him. He is very familiar with this kind of spatial vibration. Every time the mobile phone takes him through a different world, the same fluctuation will appear. "Follow me closely. We will go to the underworld for a while, but we must come out before dawn, otherwise we will really stay in the underworld forever." As he spoke, he took the lead in leaping forward, and disappeared strangely. Xu Feng knew that Yan Qixia's sword should have opened a space passage, so he followed behind and walked in. Chapter 95 Destroying the Old Monster of Montenegro. Passing through the gap, Xu Feng found himself in a thick fog with Yan Qixia in front of him. He hurriedly followed, and the two ran for a while, and soon found Xiaoqian's figure. She was trapped in the sedan chair, and the group of yin soldiers carried her and ran quickly. Xu Feng ran up and shouted, Xiaoqian. But Nai Xiaoqian in the sedan chair seemed unable to hear his voice. Yan Chiksha pulled him back. People can't see ghosts in the world of heaven, ghosts can't see people in the underworld, and she can't see you. As he spoke, he took out a talisman and folded it into a small ball. Swallow it, so that ghosts can see you. It was the first time Xu Feng heard such a theory. He glanced at it and had no choice but to gulp it down. Yan Chiksha swallowed one too. The two caught up with those yin soldiers. Xu Feng shouted again, Xiaoqian. Nai Xiaoqian in the sedan chair heard the voice, turned her head to see him, and cried, Mr. Su. Those yin soldiers also noticed their figures, and most of them stopped and killed them. Yan Chiksha handed the sword behind her back to Xu Feng. Go and save her, I will deal with these evil soldiers. When Xu Feng knew that he was not being polite, he kicked his feet on the ground, over the heads of those yin soldiers, and chased after Nai Xiaoqian's sedan chair. His body was in the air, and he saw from a distance that there was a high platform not far in front. The entire platform was built with the skulls of dead people, and a tall figure in the pavilion on the platform emitted a monstrous evil spirit against the light. Montenegro old demon. Xu Feng caught up with the sedan chair and swung his long sword. Yan Chiksha's sword is a magical weapon that can inflict damage on these yin soldiers. As long as it can injure them, they will not be at a disadvantage in fighting them. Kill those yin soldiers and rescue Nai Xiaoqian from the sedan chair, only to see that her hands and feet are bound by iron chains. Xiaoqian, I'll cut them off for you. After a few strikes, the iron chain was broken. The old Haitian demon in the pavilion above his head suddenly laughed loudly. A scholar, a Taoist priest, you really have the guts to break into my territory and snatch my woman. No, let's go. Xu Feng took Nai Xiaoqian and flew towards the way he came. On the other side, Yan Chiksha killed most of the soldiers by herself. He said to Xu Feng and Nai Xiaoqian, you guys go first, I will be in the rear. Suddenly, among the small soldiers, a general riding a tall horse and holding a broad axe charged forward on horseback. The attack was menacing. Yan Chiksha took out her big bow, put 3 talisman arrows on it, and aimed at the ghost general. But the ghost general ran halfway, and the man and the horse disappeared strangely. Yan Chiksha turned her head to look for it, but it suddenly appeared behind him and struck down with an axe. Puff! A gust of blood spurted out. Yan Chiksha screamed, his left arm was hit by an axe, and the bow and arrow fell to the ground. The ghost general succeeded in one blow, and his figure disappeared again. Yan Chiksha knew that he could not sit still, so he took out a pair of bodhi seeds from his bosom, wiped his eyes, and the invisible ghost general's figure appeared clearly in front of him in an instant. Yan Chiksha took out a talisman with her right hand and threw it towards it. The ghost general didn't expect that Yan Chiksha could see him, and was hit by the talisman. It let out a scream and revealed its real body. Yan Chiksha held the arrow in her right hand, and used her foot instead of her left hand to draw the bowstring. She shot the arrow, and at the same time spit out a mouthful of blood on the arrow. Prajnaparamita. The talisman arrow pierced through the ghost general accurately, and its body was turned into powder in a burst of flames. Human Taoist priest, you dare to kill my general, I will not spare you. The Black Mountain old demon said angrily. Bah! Yan Chiksha stuck out her tongue at the old demon on the high platform in the distance. Your subordinates are only allowed to hurt us, are you not allowed to kill them for Tianjingdao? At this moment, Xu Feng and Nai Xiaoqian left and returned again. Yan Chiksha was taken aback. Why are you back again? Don't worry about me. No, Hero Yan, Xu Feng panted, the exit has been blocked by the old demon. None of you can escape, leave them all to me. The old Black Mountain demon roared, and suddenly there was a terrifying suction force between the sky and the earth, and all the swords on the ground flew towards it. Xu Feng was also made unstable by this suction, and was sucked together with Yan Chiksha and flew towards the old demon, but Nai Xiaoqian was not affected by the suction. She flicked her sleeves anxiously, entangled Xu Feng and Yan Chiksha who were flying away. Catch it. Xu Feng grabbed the sleeve yarn, but after a while, the yarn began to break. He knew that the only chance to kill the old Black Mountain demon was to take advantage of it not paying attention, pretend to be sucked by it, and then paste the Diamond Sutra all over its body. The yarn broke with a hiss, and Nai Xiaoqian screamed, no. Yan Chiksha picked up a weapon in the air and stuck it on the ground, fixed her body, trying to grab Xu Feng who was sucked over. But Xu Feng pretended not to hold his hand, exclaimed, and continued to fly towards the old Haitian demon on the high platform. Mr. Su. Nizioqian saw that Xu Feng was about to die at the mouth of the old Hetian demon. She saw the long sword that fell to the ground, picked it up with both hands, and followed the section to kill the old Hetian demon. The longsword is a magic weapon. Nizioqian held it in her hand. Her whole body felt as if she was being shocked by electricity. The place where she held the sword in her hand seemed to be scorched by fire, and white smoke came out, but she still gritted her teeth and held the sword tightly. Because she took the initiative to fly towards the old demon of Hetian, she arrived before Xu Feng. The long sword pierced through the old demon with a chick, but it was not wiped out, it just let out a painful howl. "Bitch, you dare to hurt me, I want you to be out of your wits, It roared, and flicked a big black cloak, only to see that its body was actually composed of countless terrifying human heads. As soon as those ghost heads appeared, they rushed towards Nizioqian one after another, biting and gnawing at her body. Nizioqian kept screaming, as if she was being tortured by ghosts. Her spirit body was slowly disappearing. At this time, Xu Feng had already followed the section force of the old demon in Montenegro, and he shouted, "Nizioqian, let go and get out of the way." Nizioqian couldn't hold on any longer, let go of the hand holding the long sword, and fell to the side. "Smelly scholar, you die for me." As the Black Mountain old demon said, he stretched out his hand and wanted to suck Xu Feng over. Thinking of a good opportunity, Xu Feng tore off the clothes on his chest, revealing the Diamond Sutra. The Diamond Sutra was already badly damaged, and it was scattered into countless papers under this suction, and at close range, it was all covered with the whole body of the Black Mountain old demon. "What is this? Diamond Sutra?" The Montenegrin old demon yelled in horror and despair. "Old monster, go to hell." Xu Feng turned over and kicked the long sword stuck in its chest. With a violent explosion, Xu Feng and Nizioqian on the ground were both rushed down the high platform by the shock wave of the explosion. On the high platform, there was a sea of flames, and the body of the Black Mountain old demon, which was composed of countless ghost heads, had been blown to pieces. Xu Feng only felt that his whole body's heart and lungs had been displaced by the shock, and his clothes had been torn into pieces. Struggling to get up, he helped Nizioqian, who had fallen to the side. "Nizioqian, are you okay?" Nizioqian's spiritual body is already very weak, but she still has a trace of consciousness. A smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. "I'm fine. Yes, young Master Su, it's really good that you're fine." Yan Chiksha came forward holding her broken left hand, and said, "The old demon is dead, we have to leave quickly, the sky will soon be dawn." Holding a long sword in his hand, he split the space with one sword and went in first. Xu Feng helped Nizioqian to follow and left the underworld. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96. After passing through the space and returning to the inn, the sun has already risen. A little bit of sunlight came in from the window, and Nizioqian let out a painful scream as soon as she encountered the sunlight. Yan Chiksha appeared in the room, and fell to the ground exhausted. "Close the window quickly, and don't let the sun shine on her, or she will lose her soul and be unable to reincarnate." Xu Feng hurriedly staggered forward to close the window, took out the golden pagoda from his portable space, and said to the weak Nizioqian on the ground, "Nizioqian, you enter the golden pagoda quickly, and I will definitely send you to the countryside before dusk today." Two lines of tears flowed from Nizioqian's beautiful eyes. "Young Master Su, I will never see you again, you have to take care." Xu Feng's heart was also infinitely sentimental, as if there were thousands of words in his chest, and finally it was only one sentence, "Nizioqian, I will never forget you." Nizioqian gave a poignant smile and disappeared on the ground. Staring blankly at the empty room, Xu Feng felt empty in his heart, as if something was lost forever in a certain corner. He and Yan Chiksha treated the wounds on their bodies, rested for a while, then continued on their journey on horseback, and finally reached the countryside before dusk. After finding a place to bury Nizioqian's ashes, they burnt some paper money for her. Seeing the paper dust flying all over the sky, Xu Feng murmured, "Hero Yan, did you say Nizioqian was reincarnated?" Yan Chiksha sighed, "Oh, in this troubled world, sometimes being a human is harder than being a ghost." I hope she can be reborn into a good family. Xu Feng could only pray for Niziokian in his heart. When he was in a trance, a system voice came from his mind. Congratulations to the host for completing the task, and reward system coins of 10,000. Hearing this voice, Xu Feng felt as if he was in another world. His whole body, mind and emotion were put into this world, and he almost forgot that he was not from this world. I'm not from this world, so I can just leave, but the original people in this world still have to bear their fate and bear the bitter fruit of the world. Xu Feng suddenly felt very tired. Now he doesn't think it is a wonderful thing to travel through various worlds. Life is a bitter fruit, a practice. Every world, everyone has their own suffering. Because he has the ability to travel through the world, he participates in the joys and sorrows of other people's lives, but this feeling is not good. Now he only feels that there are many things hidden in his heart, and he is very tired. He even misses the simplicity of being an ordinary person time. Shaking his head, he opened the character information panel and checked the status, name, Xu Feng, sex, male, age, 21, grade, late acquired experience, 879/10000 system coin, 12,912 skills, Xixa divine art, 100%, Yanlong palm, 100%, unlock app, WeChat, Kidian reading, Xiaomi video. Brother Xu, what are your plans for the future? Yan Chiksha asked from the side. Xu Feng came back to his senses. Of course he knew the real purpose of his trip. Hero Yan, after going through all this, I'm suddenly a little tired. I can take the exam again after I go to Beijing. I want to follow Hero Yan first. You travel the rivers and lakes for a while to really understand the state of the world and the people's livelihood. Yan Chiksha glanced at him, got on her horse. Okay, let's go then. Set a dozen horses to go first. Xu Feng spends the rest of his time in the world of a Chinese ghost story, accompanying Yan Chiksha on a walk in the rivers and lakes, seeing the miserable world where people are not as good as ghosts in troubled times. In the process, the two acted chivalrously and did their best to help as many people as possible. On the way, Xu Feng found an opportunity to tell Yan Chiksha his determination to learn Taoism. After several lives and deaths in Lanruo Temple and the underworld, Yan Chiksha has regarded Xu Feng as a true friend, and Xu Feng is no different. Of course Yan Chiksha didn't refuse. He didn't even ask Xu Feng why. He just laughed and said, "Brother, if you want to learn, I will teach you everything." So during the journey, the two learned as they walked, and Yan Chiksha taught from the most basic foundation of Taoism. Yan Chiksha said that he learned Taoism from a mysterious Taoist who claimed to be Zhengai surgery. Taoism includes the method of borrowing the law of heaven and earth. The world is boundless, and the universe borrows the law, as well as some methods of controlling the sword, and the method of talismans. Brother, Taoism is broad and profound, encompassing everything in the world, and I have only scratched the surface of it. I can only pass on what I know to you. Thank you, Brother Yan. Xu Feng first learned the Taoist heart method Daowa Iju. After studying for a while, he felt that this should be a very powerful key training method, which covers 3 levels in total. At present, Yan Chiksha has only cultivated to the 2nd level of Daowa Iju. Then after learning the mind method, Xu Feng learned that Taoism, the sky and the earth are boundless, and the universe borrows the law. The deeper one's mana is, the more mana one can borrow from heaven and earth. Of course, no matter whether it is mental method or Taoism, it cannot be cultivated successfully in a short period of time, and it takes time to accumulate a little bit. But Xu Feng knew that as long as he had a thorough understanding of the tactic, as long as he mastered the mental method, after returning to the real world, he would naturally be able to use the system currency to slowly upgrade. Wandering around the rivers and lakes with Yan Chiksha, after more than half a year, Xu Feng successfully learned the Taoism. Brother Yan, there is always a banquet in the world, and today we are going to say goodbye. Brother Xu, it's been a pleasure to walk the rivers and lakes with you for the past 6 months. I have regained the enthusiasm and emotion I had back then. I will continue to weed out the strong and help the weak. We will meet later. As Yan Chiksha said, she patted the horse first and left, but on the horse's back, the corners of his eyes seemed a little wet, and he seemed to feel in his heart that after this farewell, he should never see Xu Feng again. Seeing Yan Chiksha's back going away, Xu Feng also didn't look away for a long time. In my mind are all the details of getting along with Yan Chiksha since I was in this world. If life is a train, there will be different passengers accompanying you at every station. Then this stop will be parting forever. In my mind, When I click on the video, it is the interface of a Chinese ghost story. Goodbye. Press to exit. The space oscillates and flashes, and Xu Feng's body slowly dissipates between the heaven and the earth. Back in the room, almost a month has passed in the real world during the trip of Chinese girl. As usual, the first thing I do when I come back is sleep well, and everything else can be left behind. Xu Feng called this sleep jet lag, but the jet lag is not the time difference on the earth, but the time difference between different worlds. There is only one chapter today, and I feel a little tired recently, please forgive me. Chapter 97 Gold Shot. After a day of sleep, Xu Feng regained his energy and stripped his emotions from the atmosphere of the other world. While eating, he first turned on his cell phone to see if there were any missed calls or messages, and dealt with a backlog of events in the past month. He looked through and found that his parents had called several times, and Tang Shining also called a lot, and then some unknown number. He called his parents and Tang Shining back, and reported his whereabouts this month. As for some of the strange calls, he didn't care too much. He first visited Wang Hu, Liu Danying's subordinate, and asked him if there was any abnormality in his body in the past month. But when Wang Hu saw Xu Feng, he had an extremely grateful expression on his face. He said that after eating the crystals, his physical fitness improved a lot and he didn't feel any discomfort. Xu Feng got the answer he wanted, so he went home on the way, ate one for his parents, then went to school, and fed one for his younger sister. After eating crystals, their physical fitness will be improved and the chance of getting sick will be reduced. Xu Feng only hopes that his family will be safe. Xu Feng ate the remaining crystals by himself. After all, his parents and sister are ordinary people, and their bodies have not been strengthened. If they eat too much at one time, unexpected troubles may occur. After Xu Feng ate all the crystals he got in the zombie world last time, the experience value on the character panel already showed 7,626 10,000. In the column of character skills, in addition to Zixia Divine Art, 100%, and Yanlong Palm, 100%, there are two more Tao Weiju, 10%, Kyankan Borrowing Method, 5%. The latter two are the new skills and methods that Xu Feng learned in a Chinese ghost story. The reason why the progress is so low is because he relied on his own cultivation and did not rely on the power of the system to accelerate. Moreover, Xu Feng also planned not to speed up these two items for the time being, but to cultivate slowly by himself first. After all, he hadn't reached the moment when he had to improve his strength. After going home, Xu Feng returned to Jiangcheng. On the way, I received a call, but the call was from Manager Lu from Huangshan, who had been there a month ago. He said that he had called Xu Feng several times, but no one answered. Xu Feng thought that those unfamiliar missed calls should be from Manager Lu. It turned out that after Manager Lu reported the matter to the upper management of the company, the upper management of Huangshan Pawn Shop decided to transfer all available funds and accept all Xu Feng's gold. And in order to deal with this matter specially, the upper management of the company sent the chairman's daughter, the youngest general manager of the company, to handle this matter in person. The general manager has been in Jiangcheng for several days, but it is a pity that Manager Lu has not contacted Xu Feng. Manager Lu explained the reason on the phone, and then agreed with Xu Feng on the time of the transaction. Xu Feng is of course very happy that the gold can be sold. Only when the gold is successfully transformed into money can he take the next step. Coming to the Huangshan Pawn last time, as soon as he entered the hall, the same beautiful maid came forward to welcome him in. After sitting down, he served a good dragon well. After waiting for a while, Xu Feng saw a tall woman walking out from the inner hall. She was dressed in business attire, and her whole body was well made. It looked like she had received a good education since she was a child, that kind of person. "Hello, my name is Xu Fei." She walked up to Xu Feng and first extended her hand to introduce herself. "Hello, my name is Xu Feng." Xu Feng also shook her hand gently and politely. Xu Fei sat down opposite Xu Feng, with the indifference of a high-ranking person in her beautiful eyes. "I heard that Mr. Xu Feng, you have 10,000 taels of gold, and the whole company attaches great importance to this transaction. May I ask Mr. Xu, can I follow you to see if you really have so much gold?" As soon as Xu Fei opened her mouth, she got straight to the point. Obviously, she should be a strong person who is not weaker than a man in the workplace, and she does not procrastinate at all. "It's okay to see. The gold is on me now," Xu Feng said lightly. "Bring it on your body." Xu Fei's eyes flashed sullenly. "Mr. Xu, please be sincere. You carry 10,000 taels of gold with you? Could it be that you are carrying a banknote? Xu Feng smiled. I don't need to lie to you. How about it? Let's find a quieter room, and I can show it to you. Xu Fei didn't know what Xu Feng was doing. She wondered if the person in front of her had a brain problem. It seems that although the 2 gold ingots he took out at the beginning were real, but there are 10,000 taels of gold, it may be a joke, and that Manager Lu is also real, and he reported such an incredible thing without investigating clearly. Fortunately, the main purpose of her visit to Jiangcheng this time is to host an auction held by the company. Many of the pawns received by the pawn shop are cultural relics, and they will hold regular auctions to exchange them for cash. Coming here to buy the so-called gold in 10,000 taels was just an incidental trip, which now seems to be nonsense. Xu Fei stood up and stretched out her small hand. Mr. Xu, please, welcome to our auction pawn next time. Xu Feng saw that she had issued an order to evict the guest, and he didn't intend to get up while sitting on the sofa. Look at this, Miss Xu, you really don't believe it, so let's just show it in the living room. Although it is a bit public, Xu Feng is not afraid of showing off now. He is confident in facing all unknown situations, and he really needs to sell the gold immediately. With a thought, 2 large boxes appeared in the hall. The workmanship of the boxes is simple, and it looks like a product of ancient times. These 2 boxes contain a total of 1 taels of gold. Miss Xu, you can go up and check it yourself. Seeing the boxes that suddenly appeared in the hall, Xu Fei rubbed her eyes. She was sure that her eyes were not dazzled, and 2 ancient boxes really appeared out of thin air. She turned her head to look at Xu Feng, only to see that Xu Feng was just leaning on the sofa with a faint smile on his face. Xu Feng knew that she had met a real expert. In her profession, she had seen many strange people and strange things. She knew that Xu Feng was definitely a terrifying existence. Walking forward, he slowly opened one of the boxes. As the box opened, a dazzling golden light shot out. In the hall, that piece of golden light even covered up the lights overhead. In the box, gold ingots were neatly arranged. After Xu Fei closed it, she opened another box, which was also full of gold. After she finished reading, she returned to Xu Feng, and the look in his eyes had completely changed. Mr. Xu, please don't take it for granted that Fifi was offended before. I'll find a professional to appraise these gold ingots immediately, then weigh them, and then sell them at a price that you are satisfied with, sir. What do you think? Xu Feng smiled slightly. No problem, then these 2 boxes of gold will be placed with you. After a few days, your people will agree, and then you can negotiate the price with me, Miss Xu. Xu Fei said in astonishment. Mr. Xu, you put them here with such peace of mind, aren't you afraid that we won't admit it? Don't be afraid, Xu Feng smiled, and stretched out his hand to press the coffee table in front of him. Because you dare not, I'm leaving. Please contact me after you have dealt with it. After he got up, he left without thinking. Xu Fei watched Xu Feng leave. She turned her head, glanced at the coffee table, her almond eyes widened, and saw a palm-shaped hole left on the coffee table. Xu Feng pressed lightly, and it was like a knife carving, and a hollow hand was pulled out from the coffee table. Knowing that she had met a real mythical character, Xu Fei yelled coquettishly, "Come on, the top appraiser in the fortune line, immediately appraise these 2 boxes of things for me, and I have to give the results before today." Quotation mark. Chapter 98 Auction. The next day, Xu Feng received a call from Xu Fei, and then returned to Huangshan. 10,000 taels of gold, the final valuation was 5,000 million. Jin Xu Fei directly opened a new bank card for Xu Feng. It is not safe to deposit so much money with an ordinary card. Thank you, Ms. Xu is really a cheerful person. It's a pleasure working with you, so I'll go first. After Xu Feng got the money, he was ready to leave. Wait, Mr. Xu, in order to celebrate the success of our transaction, how about I treat you to a meal? Xu Fei smiled. Huh? Xu Feng touched his chin. Okay then. Then Mr. Xu, wait a moment, I'll change my clothes first. Xu Fei walked in, and when she came out, she had already changed out of her business attire and put on casual clothes. Xu Feng followed Xu Fei down the building and directly into the underground garage. Xu Fei led him straight to a red Porsche. Xu Fei smiled slightly. Mr. Xu, please get in the car. Haha, it's an honor to have a beautiful woman like you, Ms. Xu, as my driver. Xu Fei drove Xu Feng directly to a high-end Western restaurant in Jiangcheng. Xu Feng rarely came to these places before, but he would not show any timidity. After the two sat down, Xu Fei skillfully ordered delicious food. "Miss Xu, you invited me to dinner? Is there anything else you want to say?" Xu Feng said. "That's right," Xu Fei said with a smile. Xu, in fact, I came to Jiangcheng this time to deal with Mr. Xu's gold, and another thing is to host our pawn shop's annual auction. Auction? Xu Feng had no interest in it. Xu Fei is very good at observing words and expressions. When she saw Xu Feng's face, she turned her head. Xu, there will be various treasures collected by our pawn shop throughout the year in this auction. In addition, the auction can only be accepted by our pawn shop. Only people who are invited can participate, and the people who come are all the upper echelons of Jiangcheng. I would like to invite Mr. Xu and you to come to the auction the day after tomorrow. I wonder if you are interested. Xu Feng is indeed not interested in treasures and cultural relics, but he is very interested in making friends with high-level people. Well, then I'll come and take a look. Xu Feng thought for a while and said, "That's really great." Xu Fei said, holding up a glass of red wine. Xu, I made a big deal with you today, let me toast you. After eating, Xu Feng returned home, holding his new bank card, thinking about the 5,000 million in it, and he was about to start to really use the money. Xu Feng called Fang Licken, whom he hadn't contacted for a while, and asked him to meet. After reminiscing about the old days, Xu Feng knew that the bitch Fang was doing well in the bank. "I want to ask you to do something for me." After drinking and eating, Xu Feng said, "What's the matter?" "Go ahead, madman, your business is my business." Fang Licken readily agreed. "The matter is very simple. I want you to help me buy the shares of the Song Group in small amounts for a long time." Xu Feng said, throwing the bank card in his hand to him, "This is 5,000 million yuan." Fang Licken took the card and opened his eyes wide. "Madman, are you joking?" "I'm not joking," Xu Feng said lightly. "Just do as I said. I will send you my account and the stock code of Song Group later, and you can help me buy it secretly during this time. Spend all the money, you know. This." Fang Licken looked at Xu Feng's serious face, and knew that he might not be joking. He worked in a bank and was quite proficient in stocks and the like. "Madman, don't tell me you're particularly optimistic about the stocks of the Song Group and want to hold shares in their group." "Well, it's not convenient to tell you the reason for now, but when the time is right, I will definitely tell you," Xu Feng said. "All right then," Fang Licken put away his bank card. "Brother's business is my business, and I will definitely take care of it for you." After the two chatted again, Fang Licken took his leave and left. Xu Feng is not worried that Fang Licken will be greedy for his money. After all, he is a brother who has been in college for 4 years, and he knows each other very well, and even if Fang Licken really can't resist the temptation, he has his own way to recover his assets. This move was thought up by Xu Feng a long time ago. The first thing he did after getting the money was to buy the shares of Song Group. As a listed company, shares are a good breakthrough. After dealing with this matter, 2 days later, Xu Feng received the auction information from Xu Fei. The venue of the auction was a villa in the group of villas gathered in the wealthy area of the city. There are many lakes in Jiangcheng, and the banks of Longyin Lake in the west of the city are the most high-end villas in Jiangcheng. Xu Fei asked in the letter whether he wanted to pick him up, but Xu Feng thought about it and refused, and he took a taxi directly. Ordinarily, it is easy for Xu Feng to buy a car now, but he feels that he is not on the real world most of the time, and buying a car is also a waste, so he would rather take a taxi. When I came to the villa that Xu Fei mentioned, I saw that it occupies a large area and is luxuriously decorated. From the outside, you can see the rockery and pavilions in the courtyard of the villa, which is extraordinary. In the parking lot near the villa, there are many luxury cars, and there are almost no cars with less than 100 million yuan. Xu Feng strolled to the gate of the villa. There were 4 or 5 bodyguards in black suits guarding the gate. One of them seemed to be the leader. When he saw Xu Feng, he took a step forward and said respectfully, "Mr. Private territory, you need to show an invitation letter to enter." Xu Fei had given the invitation letter to Xu Feng at that time, and Xu Feng took it out and entered the villa smoothly. At this time, the sky had turned dark, and the lights in the villa were brightly lit. On the entire first floor, as well as in the yard, there are many snacks and fine wines. There is a huge fountain in the middle of the courtyard. People in the courtyard gather together in 2s and 3s to whisper, and many of them are accompanied by beautiful female companions. This is more like a rich people's party than an auction. Xu Feng didn't know these people. He glanced at him, but he didn't find Xu Fei's figure. He thought that she was the master and she should be busy, so he didn't care. He took a glass of wine and leaned against the fountain, slowly tasting. The wine is a good red wine, but Xu Feng is not used to drinking this kind of wine. He prefers to drink the most authentic Chinese traditional white wine. The several worlds he traveled through were all ancient martial arts worlds, so he fell in love with that kind of wine unknowingly. The wine is not strong, but it is clear and delicious. You can drink it in a big bowl to enjoy your friendship and hatred. He was immersed in his own thoughts, but suddenly a long-lost annoying voice came from his ear. "Yo, you kid actually came here, isn't it really my eyesight? How did you get in this place?" Chapter 99 No Invitations. Hearing this, Xu Feng raised his head, only to see that the person who spoke was indeed that Song Xianhui. He was wearing a chic evening dress, his hair was coquettishly combed, and he was staring at Xu Feng with mockery in his eyes. And beside him, there was a woman in a cheongsam. Her face was immature, but she couldn't hide her peerless beauty. Who is it, not Ye Xiner? Seeing the two of them, Xu Feng's eyes darkened. Although he had already let go of Ye Xiner in his heart, he still didn't want to look at her more. As for what Song Xianhui said, his ears are directly filtered. He doesn't want to deal with this kind of person. He will finally use his strength to let him see what pain is. "Xu Feng, I really didn't expect to see you here. Tisk tisk, how did you get in here?" Seeing that Xu Feng ignored his words, Song Xianhui continued to sarcastically say, "Xianhui, let's go. There are many good friends over there, let's go there." Seeing this, Ye Xiner deliberately diverted the topic away, and wanted to take Song Xianhui away from here. She was also curious about Xu Feng's appearance here. She knew that tonight's auction reception was held by Huangshan, a large group in Jiangcheng. All the people who came to participate were the upper class of Jiangcheng. She knew Xu Feng's background very well, knowing that no matter what, he would never be invited. But she has a lot of guilt towards Xu Feng in her heart, and she hides a secret that only she knows, and she doesn't want Xu Feng to be hurt. Hearing what Ye Xiner said, Song Xianhui became more determined to make Xu Feng look bad. He was very concerned about Ye Xiner's past, and now seeing Ye Xiner still defending Xu Feng, a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. "Xu Feng, do you think you can escape without talking? I think you just came in without an invitation to eat and drink. Believe it or not, I will ask the security to drive you out right now. You are really noisy." Xu Feng finally looked directly at Song Xianhui. His eyes released a tangible murderous look. "I will give you 3 seconds to disappear in front of me." Song Xianhui took a step back in shock from the murderous look in Xu Feng's eyes. He couldn't help but think of the last time he was slapped by Xu Feng. But he immediately remembered that this place is different from the last time at school. This place can be regarded as his home field, and he thought to himself that you are still so brazen and cruel? "Xu Feng, will I be frightened by you? Since you don't want to drink a toast, don't blame me for being rude," Song Xianhui said, and was about to call the security guard. "No." Ye Xiner grabbed him, turned to Xu Feng and said, "You better go. This place is not where you should come, and when the security guards come, you will really be in trouble." Regarding Ye Xiner's words, Xu Feng just smiled coldly in his heart. He didn't know what Ye Xiner was trying to explain by acting like this. Did she mean that she still missed their old relationship, so want to give him a hand? "Song Xianhui, you still have a second to disappear in front of me." Xu Feng ignored Ye Xiner's warning and stared at Song Xianhui. At this moment, the confrontation between the two of them finally attracted the attention of the security guards in the arena, and 5 or 6 security guards surrounded them. One of them said, "I'm Qin Ming, the security manager tonight. May I ask what happened to you two?" Seeing the security guard approaching, Song Xianhui had a smug look in his eyes. "Manager Qin, I suspect that someone sneaked in without an invitation card, cheating on food and drink. Please drive him out." Then Qin Ming recognized Song Xianhui as the son of the Song group, and he saluted Song Xianhui first. "Hello, Mr. Song. I don't know who you are talking about. We will definitely investigate. It's him." The corner of Song Xianhui's mouth twitched, and he pointed his finger at Xu Feng. Qin Ming also noticed Xu Feng. The people who came tonight were dressed very formally, because although this was an auction, it was actually a communication reception between the upper echelons of Jiangcheng, and it was considered a formal social occasion. But only Xu Feng was wearing sports and leisure clothes, which was out of tune with the atmosphere of the venue. Qin Ming took a step forward and said to Xu Feng, "Sir, please cooperate and show your invitation card, please." "Oh? Check my invitation card." Xu Feng sneered, "Why only check me? Is this the school's rule?" Qin Ming said with a touch of arrogance, "Please cooperate, sir. I suspect that you sneaked in without an invitation. Doubt me?" Xu Feng mocked with a smile, just relying on his one-sided words. "Please cooperate." Qin Ming's tone became tougher. Seeing Xu Feng's evasion, he believed in his heart that he had sneaked in. He thought that it was lucky that he discovered it early, otherwise he, the security manager, would blame him if something went wrong. Escaped. Xu Feng raised his eyes, looked at Qin Ming coldly, and said slowly, "I don't have an invitation." In fact, he has an invitation card from Xu Fei on him, but Qin Ming has to check his invitation card based on Song Xian, who has one-sided words and his own clothes. This is a kind of humiliation. If he really submits the invitation card obediently, that's really being bullied by default. He wanted to see what the security manager could do to him when he heard that he didn't have an invitation. Sure enough, there is no invitation. Before Qin Ming could speak, Song Xianhua said excitedly, "Manager Qin, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and drive this kind of person out." Qin Ming also turned dark, and said to Xu Feng with a serious face, "Please leave immediately, otherwise." "Otherwise what?" Xu Feng calmly drank the last sip of wine in his glass. "This is a private residence. You are trespassing illegally. If you don't leave, I will call the police." The turmoil by the fountain attracted the attention of many people on the field, but many of them were successful business tycoons and would not really come forward to watch the excitement. But there are also many wealthy second generations like Song Xianhua and Ye Xiner who follow their elders to increase their knowledge and expand their contacts. Of course, young people can't help watching the fun. At this moment, there are 7 or 8 men and women surrounding them. The family background of each of them is a terrifying existence in this Jiangcheng. Seeing Xu Feng's situation now, some people started discussing with their companions. Tisk, where did this guy come from? Why did he come here without an invitation? He's pretty handsome, but what he's wearing is really tasteless. Seeing that Xu Feng had no intention of leaving at all, Qin Ming was furious, waved his hand and said to his subordinates, "Get him out." "Yes," a few security guards said, and they were about to step forward. Ye Xiner saw the matter develop to this stage with her own eyes. She was very anxious for Xu Feng, and was about to plead for Xu Feng, but a voice came out before her. "Wait." Following the sound, the crowd parted, and a tall, beautiful woman in a gorgeous dress walked in. "Who dares to disrespect my distinguished guest?" Chapter 100. The First Fame. The person who came was Xu Fei, the eldest lady of Huangshipuan. "Miss." The moment he saw Xu Fei, Manager Qin's expression changed, and a bad feeling surged in his heart. He squeezed out a smile and said, "Miss, you are here. This person broke in without an invitation." "Who said that?" Xu Fei's pretty eyes turned cold. "Mr. Xu is the distinguished guest I personally invited, who said he didn't have an invitation card." After hearing Xu Fei's words, Manager Qin's expression completely changed. "This kid is actually the eldest lady's distinguished guest? How can it be? You must know that the eldest lady has been studying abroad for many years, and it has been less than a year since she returned to China, and she also worked at the headquarters after returning to China. This time, the chairman sent her to Jiangcheng temporarily to hold the auction in Jiangcheng. In fact, even many of the upper-class younger generation in Jiangcheng didn't know Xu Fei. He tried to argue, "Miss, I asked him to show the invitation card before, but he himself said that there is no invitation card." "Stop it," Xu Fei interrupted him sullenly, and then smiled apologetically at Xu Feng beside him. "Mr. Xu, I didn't expect my subordinates to be so ignorant, please forgive me." Xu Fei was really angry in her heart. She personally made Xu Feng's 10,000 taels of gold deal, and had witnessed Xu Feng's teleportation and the fingerprints left on the coffee table. She knew that Xu Feng must be an unborn man. "Master, inviting Xu Feng to participate in this auction is also intended to get acquainted with Xu Feng." Now all of this was almost messed up by this Manager Qin. Xu Feng's face was pale, as if nothing had happened before. "It's okay, it's just some clowns." He glanced at Qin Ming and said, "But Manager Qin seems to have a problem with me. He insists on checking my invitation alone. No matter how I explain it, He won't listen. When Manager Qin heard this, he almost couldn't stand still. He looked at Xu Fei, forced a smile and said, "Miss, please listen to my explanation." "There is no need to explain," Xu Fei said with a cold face. "You have offended a distinguished guest, and you are no longer suitable for this job. You can resign tomorrow." At this moment, the crowds watching on both sides have already started discussing. They have been curious about Xu Fei's identity ever since she appeared on the stage. Seeing that Manager Qin treated her with unusual respect and called her Missy again, they started discussing and guessing. "Strange, why haven't I seen her in Jiangcheng before? She looks so beautiful." "That's right, the surname Qin calls her Miss. I don't know what that means. Could it be? Could it be that she is the daughter of Su Liqiang, the chairman of Huaxia Pawn Shop?" "What? It's her. I didn't expect to be so young." The name on the invitation letter seems to be Xu Fei. Huaxia Pawn Shop is a big company that can be ranked in the whole country. If we can get along well with her. In the discussion of these people, Manager Qin's heart was dark. He didn't expect that his carelessness would cause him to lose this job. This job is very important to him. He turned his pleading eyes to Song Xianhua. After all, the reason why he provoked Xu Feng was to please Song Xianhua, the second generation. Song Xianhua didn't expect that things would turn around like this. He didn't know Xu Fei before, but at this moment he also guessed her identity in his heart. He knew that there was still a big gap between his own company and Huaxia Pawn Shop, a large national enterprise. The Song Group was only a relatively large company in Jiangcheng. He coughed, stepped forward and said, "Hi, Ms. Su, I'm Song Xianhua from the Song Group. Manager Qin is just doing his job. Ms. Su, can you?" Xu Fei's pretty face was frosty, and she glanced at Song Xianhua. She had seen too many second-generation playboys, and she already understood what was going on. "Mr. Song, this is our company's private matter, so we don't want outsiders to interfere." As she spoke, she turned around and ignored Manager Qin and Song Xianhua. Facing Xu Feng, the frost on her face melted, and said with a light smile, "Mr. Su, please come inside, the auction will start soon." "All right." Xu Feng nodded, smiled and glanced at Song Xianhua, followed Xu Fei and walked inside. Song Xianhua exploded in anger, clenched his fists tightly, and Xu Feng laughed at his previous behavior as if watching a joke with his last look. "You bastard." Song Xianhua finally burst out after the two walked away, "I will never let you go." And Ye Xiner beside him looked at Xu Feng and Xu Fei's leaving backs. Her eyes were like a deep pool of water. No one knew what she was thinking. Xu Feng followed Xu Fei into the hall, but there was another acquaintance in the hall. "Mr. Su, I didn't expect you to come." The person who spoke was Liu Dadan from Xianyu Group. When he saw Xu Feng, he threw off a friend who was chatting and came up to meet him. "Boss Liu." Xu Feng greeted with a smile. "Uncle Liu, you also know Mr. Su." Xu Fei was really surprised this time, but she knew that Liu Dadan was one of the real bosses in Jiangcheng. Her father, Su Liqiang, started his business in Jiangcheng. Although Huaxia's pawn business spread all over China, Jiangcheng was still an old base. Liu Dadan and Su Liqiang were old acquaintances back then. Not only that, the older generation in Jiangcheng almost knew Su Liqiang. Su Liqiang could be said to be the best gangster in Jiangcheng faintly, but he would hold an auction in Jiangcheng every year to get in touch with these big bosses. This year, he did not attend the auction in person, but sent his daughter Xu Fei, who had just assumed a major position in the company, to hold the auction reception. "Haha, niece Su, did you invite Mr. Su?" Liu Dadan greeted Xu Fei with a smile. "Yes." Xu Fei smiled sweetly, "It's just that I didn't expect that you, Uncle Liu, already knew Mr. Su." The other people in the hall had been attracted by the conflict over the fountain in the courtyard before. Seeing Liu Dadan go up to say hello to that unknown boy, and Xu Fei, the owner of tonight's auction reception, was also there. Surrounded up. These people are all heroes in Jiangcheng, and they are all rich and wealthy. They first greeted Xu Fei. Then he asked Liu Dadan and Xu Feng's identity in a roundabout way. "Haha, Mr. Su is a real expert, so it's hard to reveal the details." Liu Dadan just said so vaguely. But he still introduced everyone and Xu Feng to each other. In this way, Xu Feng's reputation tonight really became popular in the upper circles of Jiangcheng, although they didn't know what Xu Feng was capable of. But when Xu Feng really started to become famous in Jiangcheng, And even in the whole of China, they would always recall their first meeting with Xu Feng tonight. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.